theyeshiva.net.
9 lines from the top. That's actually what we're holding. It's 2 dots. We began the Mishnah Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph. On the bottom, the Mishnah said the following halacha, that there were 6 months out of the year when Bezdin, the Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin, would send out emissaries, shluchim, to notify Jewish communities in Eretz Yisrael and the world over about the time when Rosh Chodesh was established, the day that was established as Rosh Chodesh, so that they could know when to celebrate the respective holidays of that month. What are the 6 months? So the Mishnah said, Nissan, they had to go out in order to notify everybody when Pesach was. The next was Av, they went out to notify them when the fast of Tishrei was. Number 3 was Elul, they went out. So they should know when the first day of Elul was, so they could know when Rosh Hashanah was. As Rashi explained, what does this mean? If they know when the beginning of Elul was, so then they figured out, if this is the beginning of Elul, let's count 29 days, and the 30th day will become Rosh Hashanah. In other words, Elul will be a month of 29 days, and the 30th day will become the first day of Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah. Rashi explained in the Mishnah, because most years, the majority of years, Elul did not have 30 days. Elul had 29 days. And even though it would be possible that maybe that particular year they had Mazel, and Bezdin added another day to Elul. Elul was not 29 days, but 30 days. And therefore Rosh Hashanah was day 31. Maybe that happened. That's possible. But they don't know. They can't know. I'm living in Iraq, in Babylonia, I can't know, or even far in Eretz Yisrael, I don't know what happens in Yerushalayim by the Beis HaMikdash. I don't know what happens by the Sanhedrin, or wherever the Sanhedrin were. I don't know. So I follow the majority. The Torah says you follow the majority of situations, and in the majority of years, Elul has 29 days. But if they wouldn't know when Elul began, they wouldn't know when day 30 of Elul would be. Why wouldn't they know when day 30 would be? Because if you don't know when Elul began, why? Because it could be Av has 29 days, it could be Av has 30 days. If Av has 29 days, so then Elul began a day earlier, so that means day 30 of Elul is also a day earlier. If Av had 30 days, so Elul began on day 31 of Av, so then the 30th has to be a day later. So they had to send out shluchim on Elul to tell everybody when Rosh Chodesh Elul was, so they would know when to celebrate Rosh Hashanah, because they celebrated it on day 30. That's what Rashi said in the Mishnah. Then you had, the next time they sent shluchim was Tishrei. Mipnei takonas hamoyadus. Tishrei has a lot of holidays. Rosh Hashanah was already too late. But you have Yom Kippur, you have Sukkot, and you have Shmini Atzeres, right? That's 3 holidays. And then Kislev, Chanukah, and number 6 is Ader for Purim. They should know when to do Purim. The Mishnah added, when the Beis HaMikdash existed, they went out for Eir because of Pesach Sheni. People have to come to Yerushalayim to bring a carbon if they did not bring Pesach Sheni, but that was only relevant in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. After that, it wouldn't be relevant to know any day in Eir in terms of strict halacha of something you have to do, a holiday you have to. Pesach Sheni is a serious Yom Tov. You have to go and bring a carbon Pesach. You have to know which day is Yud Daled Eir, the 14th day of Eir, because it could be one of 2 days, depending if Nissan had 29 days or Nissan had 30 days, and Rosh Chodesh Eir was either day 30 or day 31. That is what the Mishnah said in Daf Yud Ches. The first sugya of Gemarah discussed Tammuz and Tevis. Why they did not go out Tammuz and Tevis, even though there's fast days, Shiva Asa b'Tammuz and Asara b'Tevis. That was the sugya about fasting, the time of the Beis HaMikdash, after the Beis HaMikdash, Megillas Tainis. Thank you very much. Now the Gemarah goes on to a new discussion. The 2 dots, Al Elul mepnei Rosh Hashanah, Val Tishrei mepnei Takanas HaMoedos. The discussion is now going to be Elul and Tishrei, when Shluchim went out on both of them for Rosh Hashanah and for the other holidays of Tishrei.
Just asking, the time is the same in Yerushalayim and Bodol? Again, it was the same when it's 8 o'clock here, It's 8 o'clock here. 10 times up.
Das darf man beidig sein.
No, I mean the time zone. Was it in the same time zone when it came 9?
Yerushalayim and Iraq and Baghdad. You could take a look.
What would the difference be?
It would come later, no?
So what's the difference?
Mechir
They know
Maman.
that part they know. Because that's a constant.
Let's say it's an hour or two off. I mean,
Anyway, the Mallah is going by Yerushalayim.
huh?
Yes.
More time together, yeah?
Yeah.
What would the difference be?
More time together,
What time to what? To get
More
in?
time
An
together.
hour?
Maybe an hour.
It's not like the red eye, you know, it was going in caravans.
Yeah.
With the black eye, you know.
So sagt the Gemarah. Al elam apnei Rosh Hashanah val Tishrei takanas hamayadus. Sagt the Gemarah, I don't understand. Ki, the question of the Gemarah. Ki von den nafkalu ha'elu. Since they went out. The shluchim went out for the month of Elul, so that everybody in the community, in the various communities, knew when the first day of Elul was. If so, at Tishrei lamaluhu. Why did they have to go out again for the month of Tishrei? What is the Gemarah asking? If everybody knew when Elul began, and therefore, as we said before, they counted 29 days in Elul, and they celebrated Rosh Hashanah on the 30th day of Elul, assuming that in the majority of years that is the month of Elul, it's 29 days, and therefore Rosh Hashanah begins on day 30. So they also know when Rosh Hashanah begins. They know when Tishrei begins. If they know when Tishrei begins, assuming this is true, why did they have to send shluchim a second time? So the Gemarah is going to elaborate. You're going to answer, okay, Dilma Bruel Elul. Sfart, of course, in the majority of years, Elul has 29 days, and therefore Rosh Hashanah has to be on day 30. But there is a chance that Elul will have 30 days. Ibru Elul literally means maybe they made Elul pregnant, which is the expression. Maybe they made Elul mu'ubar. Maybe they made Elul pregnant with an extra day. In other words, Elul had 30 days. So Rosh Hashanah was a day early. They did it a day earlier. So therefore, if that's the case, they're going to be doing Yom Kippur and Sukkot on the wrong day. If Elul was 29 days and Rosh Hashanah began on day 30, that's Aleph Tishrei. Beautiful. Kippur is great. Sukkot is great. Shmini Atzeres is great. But what happens if everything has to be pushed off by a day? So they're going to be doing Yom Kippur, what they think is 10th Tishrei, and really it's the 9th of Tishrei. Why? Because Rosh Hashanah started a day later, so Yom Kippur has to be tomorrow. So they're eating on Yom Kippur. The same is true Sukkot. They're doing Yom Sukkot on Yudalet Tishrei. Really, Sukkot has to be Tasvav Tishrei. So first of all, they're going to stop Sukkot a day early, right? They're going to do Sukkot a day early, and therefore they're going to be doing Malacha on the last day of Sukkot. They're going to be doing Malacha on Shmini Atzeres. They're going to think it's Isru Chag. Everything was a day early. Besides making all the brachas in the wrong day. They're going to do Lulav the wrong day and Sukkah the wrong day, everything the wrong day. But that, we're not blaming them, but we can understand why shluchim go out. We're not blaming them. They're following the majority. They're doing the best they can. These are not Jews who are trying to eat on Yom Kippur. They fasted the wrong day. By them, it wasn't the wrong day. They were trying to do the best. Achrei Rabbim lahatis. You go according to the majority. Now, let's say they'll figure out that what? That they were right. Elul was only 29 days. Also Geshmak. Why have, as Rashi said in the Mishnah very nicely, that when you send out the shluchim for Tishrei, he says, what does he say? He says, Shelo yeh libam noikfan b'yom HaKippurim v'Sukkos. What do you have to give Jews libam noikfan aggravation, ashvera hearts? They're sitting and eating Yud Aleph Tishrei, and they're saying maybe it's Yom Kippur. Let's say they're right. Elul is 29 days. There's still a value with sending out shluchim to validate 100%. Let them know it's 100% Yom Kippur. It's 100% Sukkot. It's not 90% Yom Kippur and Sukkot. Let the Jew feel that it's really Yom Tov. He's not just doing the best he can and he may be off. So that's what the Gemarah is asking. What do you mean why they sent shluchim and Tishrei? Maybe Elul was mu'ubar, and therefore they're doing it the wrong day. They did Rosh Hashanah the wrong day. Okay, so that's why it's a mitzvah to do Yom Kippur the wrong day and Sukkot the wrong day. Rosh Hashanah, they didn't have a choice. That's the shaila of the Gemarah. Zog the Gemarah weiter, this is not a question, why? A piece of history. V'ha'amar Reb Chanina bar Kahana amar Rav. Reb Chanina, the son of Kahana, said in the name of Rav, Mi mois Ezra ve'elech lo matzinu elul miyubar. From the days of Ezra and on, we did not find ever that Elul should have 30 days. It never happened that Elul had more than 29 days. Now, this Mishnah is written in the time of the Mishnah, of course. This is hundreds of years after Ezra. Ezra, let's remember, lives in the time when the second Beis HaMikdash was established. The second Beis HaMikdash stands for 420 years, and Ezra is the first generation. He comes up from Babylonia after 70 years of exile, with the permission of the Persian king, as we learned in the beginning of Masechet Rosh Hashanah, the whole story. He comes up with 42,000 Jews. The second Beis HaMikdash is being rebuilt and renovated, and permission is on and off and on and off, and he really revitalizes the community in Eretz Yisrael, invigorates it, blows in a fresh air, a fresh spirit in Klal Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, establishes the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, and the beginning of the second Beis HaMikdash begins. The Beis HaMikdash stands for 420 years. It gets destroyed. 100 years, more than 100 years later, the Mishnah is written. That's when this Mishnah is written, edited by Rabbi Yehuda Anasi. Rav, who's already the first generation of Amoraim, says, from the days of Ezra till now, that's hundreds of years, we don't have one story of Elul having more than 29 days. Not one.
From
Ezra till Rav.
No, prior to Ezra.
Oh, prior to Ezra, you have the whole Bayis Rishon. So you have 400 years till Shlomo builds the first Beis HaMikdash. 440 years after they come into Eretz Yisrael, he builds the Beis HaMikdash. Plus you have another 410 years of the Beis HaMikdash standing, and 70 years of the Churban. So you have close to a millennium, close to 1,000 years. 440 years till Ezra, plus till Shlomo HaMelech, plus 410 years of the Beis HaMikdash. That's more than 800 years. Right, that's 850 years. Mamash 850 years. And then the 70 years of Galus Bava. So you had a tradition that from Ezra, we
don't know about before.
That's what happened.
It's not like Seas.
He's telling with Seas. Well, they had such a
You can't
tradition.
control that. Unless
You mean what's going to happen in the future?
Yeah, no. The fact that there weren't Abba the Chodos is a manual thing. They didn't.
It never happened.
Do it,
Yeah.
or they did it for carrot. It has to be because they can't.
Yeah.
control
So the pshat, the way we're going to see in a moment, the way Tosfos learns with Moshe Ezra is that in Ezra's time there was an Elul Ma'uber. That's why he says Moshe Ezra. It's not only that before he doesn't know, because by Ezra there was an Elul. So he says just from the days of Ezra till now, Lematzinu Elul Ma'uber. If that's the case, you're writing a Mishnah.
Very unlikely, that's what he's saying. He's not saying it can't be. He's saying it never did.
Okay, one
Each
second.
year when it happened, did they know for sure?
So
They
you're
just
very good to
said,
answer.
"The
You're
last
saying
40
Loy
years happened."
Matzinu is we had mazel for 500 years, but that mazel may not continue. You don't know what happens tomorrow. You have to be, yeah.
It wasn't a rule. Though.
Yeah.
It was just what happened.
Scientists always say the fact it happened 500 years is not a lie. It's going to happen tomorrow morning. You have to see what happens tomorrow morning.
Today?
Today there's no.
No, today it happens. So
Today's a whole different Maisa. Today we have a Luach.
we have
We'll check out Wednesday. What the day?
No, we don't do it.
29.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
But today's a whole different Maisa. We're talking here, every month was a new Metzias. There was no predictions. It was based when the witnesses came. So that's what the Gemarah is going to say.
Based on when Bezin wanted to do it. That's the bottom line.
If this is the case, the Mishnah was written hundreds of years after the days of Ezra. Elul was never Mu'ubar. So if that's the case, nobody should be afraid. Nobody should be afraid that Elul suddenly is going to be 30 days, and therefore they're going to have to send new shluchim for Tishrei. So we're back to the question, why resend shluchim for Tishrei? If we never found from the days of Ezra that Elul was Mu'ubar. Zog the Gemarah, 1 second. This is not a problem. When Rav said that from the days of Ezra, Elul was not Mu'ubar, what he said was Loy Matzinu Take his words. What does loy matzinu mean? Loy matzinu means we haven't found, we haven't experienced an elul more. But you know why? The loy yitzterich. Because he didn't need one. Ha yitzterich. What if you would need an elul that's 30 days? What if you would need? Why would you need? Good question. We'll see Rashi in a moment. But let's say you would. They would make elul 30 days. It's not pshat that elul can't be 30 days. It means for 500 years they never needed an elul that was 30 days. Lo yitzterich le. But if yitzterich, mabrin le. You're going to give an extra day for elul. If that's the case, so it's still possible in the future that you're going to have 30 days.
You send out the reverse. You send out, if the ma'abel, then you send out shluchim. And ma'abel, it's assumed that it's regular. There's no necessity to send out always on elul, only when they're ma'abel.
Right, so according to this, you'll say that's why they had to send out for Tishrei, even though for hundreds of years everyone knew Elul is 29 days, and therefore they can assume Rosh Hashanah is on day 30 without guilt. He says, you're right. But still, because it's possible that maybe this year things change, they're going to need to do it. So therefore they had to make Elul 30 days, so you have to send Shluchim to correct the mistake. They shouldn't do Yom Kippur Sukkot the wrong day. And again, even if it's the right day, they should feel calm about it. That's what the Gemarah says, and that's why it's possible that Tishrei started a day later, in other words, day 31, and therefore you had to send out shluchim to tell them how many days there were in El. What does it mean they would need to do it? What does it mean they would need to do it? Let's see what Rashi says. This is going to be the view of Rashi, and Tosfos is going to have a serious disagreement with Rashi here in the Pshat of the Gemarah. But let's see Rashi. Zok Rashi. Ha-itzdirich, a short Rashi, it has a lot in it. What if they need to? Then they would have to do 30 days. Imishum yarka, imishum meisaya, kedelakamon daf chaf. They would need to for two reasons: for the vegetables or for the dead. As the Gemarah is going to say later on daf chaf, meaning there was a situation where.
Till now we learned that it has all to do with seeing the.
Right.
There's nothing to do with the.
Right. Good point. At this point, we would assume it all has to do with when witnesses come. As we're going to see on Daf Chaf, we have a rule, Loi Adu Rosh. We don't establish Rosh Hashanah on Sunday, on Wednesday, and on Friday. Adu, Aleph, Dalet, Vav, 3 days, which we still follow in our calendar. Rosh Hashanah will not be on a Sunday, on a Wednesday, or on a Friday. Rosh Hashanah could be on the other days, but the first day of Rosh Hashanah you won't have Adu. The Gemarah is going to discuss the reason for this. This is not a reason now. This is a reason in the past that was very relevant. The first reason is vegetables. The second reason is the dead. What's the issue of the vegetables? Remember, this is before days of refrigeration. If any of the Yomim Tovim during Tishrei falls out right near Shabbos, before Shabbos or after Shabbos, Friday or Sunday, when do you cut the vegetables? You can't cut vegetables on Shabbos. Nor do you cut vegetables on Yom Tov from the garden, from the field. So therefore you have to do it when? You have to do it on Friday. You do it on Friday. Now you have Rosh Shabbos, and then you have Sunday. What happens is, by the time the second day comes, the vegetables are wilted. Yeah. Wilted, rotten, decomposed, fashimmelt. Fashimmelt. Decadent. Yeah. Right. They did not want that, because since it's going to be 2 days straight after it was cut off, it's going to dry up.
We do 3 days.
Huh?
We do 3 days.
No, we're talking even when there's 1 day. In other words, it's 2 days that you're not allowed to do malacha. So therefore, you have 1 day Shabbos. You have vegetables from yesterday, but now you don't have vegetables from yesterday anymore because it's Sunday. So this means if the 30th day of Elul, Rosh Hashanah, is on Sunday or Wednesday or Friday, if that becomes Rosh Hashanah, so then Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, or Yom Kippur will be either on Friday or on Sunday. You can make that cheshbon.
Because that's all they have to eat, yeah.
That's what they ate.
No,
That's what they ate,
That's
yeah.
what you should eat. That's what you eat.
Yeah, that's what they ate. For us, it's hard to understand, but this was life. This was life. There'd be no vegetables. Everybody would be eating rotten food, and they did not want that. So therefore, what do? They say, we're making Rosh Hashanah a day later. Tishrei is going to be on day 31. So therefore, if Yom Tov will fall out on the right day. They should have what to eat on the second day. You have Rosh Hashanah, you have Yom Kippur, Sukkot.
Yom Kippur could be some, what? Yom Kippur will be what?
Here, to make a cheshbon. Let's say Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, right? When does Sukkot begin?
Sukkot, I understand.
You see? Sukkot is day 15. So when does Sukkot begin? Sunday, right? So when are you cutting your vegetables for Sukkot? If your Sukkot is Monday, Sunday evening, right before Lichtzen, and you cut beautiful vegetables, you have for tonight, you have for tomorrow. If your Sukkot is on a Sunday, you're cutting your vegetables on Friday. But Tzai Shabbos, you can't cut any vegetables.
Wednesday, what's the problem with Wednesday?
Wednesday? If Rosh Hashanah is going to be Wednesday, so for Rosh Hashanah itself is good, right? But when is Yom Kippur going to be? Make a cheshbon. Wednesday is Aleph, yeah? So Thursday is Beis, Gimel, Daled, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Ches, Tes, Yud. Yom Kippur is Friday.
So you can't have vegetables for Saturday.
For Shabbos.
Okay, so the Gemarah will discuss about Yom Kippur. If the problem is Yom Kippur is Friday, Yom Kippur is Sunday, we'll soon see. But you have here a problem of also, you have to think about Rosh Hashanah, you have to think about Yom Kippur, you have to think about Sukkot. Okay, the second issue has to do with Mason. What's the concept of Mason? When you have, again, you have no freezers, a mace dies, 2 days he's going to lay without being buried, Shabbos and Yom Tov, and this is a bizayon for the Mason. Because of this, they did not want the Yom Tovim should be right before Shabbos or right after Shabbos. Yom Kippur is on a Friday, so somebody dies on Friday morning or Thursday night, they couldn't bury him, whatever it is. If Thursday night is already Yom Kippur, and what happens? Friday he's not buried, now Shabbos he can't bury him either, you can't bury him Friday night, you can't bury him Shabbos. So then what happens to the mace is, it smells and it rots and it's a bizayon for the mace. So this is how Rashi teaches Itztirich. Itztirich. Yeah, bizayon amas.
Today there's not a bizayon if it plays 2 days.
Okay. You're saying by Yerokas it's mitzad refrigeration, and by the mess it's simply to lay around. I mean, it's one aspect of it, that, the reyach and the rari. This is how Rashi teaches it. So therefore they had to have shluchim. Why? For 400, 500 years this wasn't a problem. This is how we're assuming there's no problem. But you don't know what's going to be this year. Maybe this year a problem. So therefore, Bezdin will have to make Elul 31 days. Frag the Gemarah 1 second. If this is the case, Hamakalka Rosh Hashanah. They're going to ruin Rosh Hashanah. What's Prat Mekalka Rosh Hashanah? Zakrashi. The Nimtza Shalei Asua Bnei Agoyla Kalochim Abrin Elul. Let's say Bezdin sees that, you know what, there's going to be a problem. Yeah, we need an extra day in Elul. We need everything to be a day later. But you're ruining Rosh Hashanah, meaning what you're causing is that all the Bnei HaGoyla, all the Jews living in Golus, Golus here means far away from the center of Sanhedrin, they did the wrong Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because you're pushing Rosh Hashanah a day off. Nobody's going to know that. You can't. They'll know when Sukkot is because you'll send out shluchim, but they can't know when Rosh Hashanah is because that's the day,
No,
right?
They know he's not going to be on a Friday.
Huh?
They know the rule. They know that Sunday, Friday, and Wednesday he doesn't exist. That's it.
So you're asking a question. If you're living in Iraq or wherever you're living, and you see Rosh Hashanah is
29 days.
you see that day 30 is going to be on a Wednesday or on a Sunday or on a Friday.
You know they're going to.
You know that Bezdin is going to push it off. You're smart.
You still need Bezdin.
So you know they're cheshbon. So what's the problem? And if it doesn't fall out, they're not going to push it off, right? That's you're asking a good question. Okay, good question. Huh?
Or they could announce it in Elul, even if they're not supposed to.
Announce it is not announce it for Rosh Hashanah. How am I going to know if I'm living in Iraq when Rosh Hashanah is, or if I'm living in Eilat? Huh?
Announce when they're going to make Hashanah in Elul. But if the wait till Rosh Hashanah comes, announce it earlier. But you're going to push it.
So he's saying if it's based on Adu, so then you don't even have to announce. You know the cheshbon. Okay. But let's say they don't know. Okay, we'll go to that in a moment. So they're ruining Rosh Hashanah because nobody knows what. They don't know that Elul had an extra day, so they're relying on the majority of years that Elul had 29 days, and they made Rosh Hashanah on the 30th day, and now it comes out that they did not do Rosh Hashanah on the right day. So the Gemarah says, Mutav Tekalkal Rosh Hashanah v'lo yiskalkalu kula mayadas. You're right. But it's better that Rosh Hashanah should be ruined for these people. In other words, not that they did the wrong thing. They did the right thing even though retroactively it turned out it was the wrong Rosh Hashanah. And not to ruin all the Mayadis, all the other Yamim Tovim, if they will keep Elul 29 days and the Yamim Tovim will fall out right before, right after Shabbos. Better to say, okay, we're sorry. Don't worry, God is not going to hold you guilty. You followed the rules, right? But instead of ruining and making a problem in all the Yamim Tovim, Deikanami. And this is Meduyik in the words of the Mishnah. What's the words of the Ketani? The Mishnah says the Shluchim went out al Tishrei mipnei takonas hamayadus, for the fixing the takona of all the Yom Tovim. This is strange. It says al Nissan mipnei Pesach, al Av mipnei Hatainos, al Elu mipnei Rosh Hashanah, Kislev for Chanukah, Ader for Purim. It should have said Tishrei al hamayadus. You don't want to say Yom Kippur because it's more than Yom Kippur. It's Yom Kippur, it's Sukkot, it's Shmini Atzeres. Say al hamayadus. Why al takonas hamayadus? You don't say takonas haPesach, takonas hatainis, takonas Chanukah. Al hamayadus for the Yom Tovim. What's takonas hamayadus? Oh, this is the diuk. It's to fix the holidays. Takonas hamayadus. It's not for the mayadus. It's not the mayadus itself. They already know when Rosh Hashanah is based on Elul, and from Ezra they never made Elul more than 29 days. But takonas hamayadus for the tikkun of the mayadus. Why? Because they may want to fix the holidays and therefore create Rosh Hashanah a day later. This was a problem. And that's why they sent Shluchim again. The Shluchim to tell them if Rosh Hashanah was a day later, they should know when Yom Kippur is, they should know when Sukkot is. And if not, they should be calm and know they did it the right thing. So Rashi says...
They only sent Shluchim if it was an Iber? If Elul was an Iber?
No, they sent Shluchim every Tishrei. Because there was a concern Elul maybe was Mu'ubar.
So they wanted to disturb you.
Yeah. So if Elul wasn't Mu'ubar, great, they'll feel good. And if Elul was Mu'ubar, then they really got to know when to do Yom Kippur. It's a day later. Rashi says, Deikanami v'kamakalkal Rosh Hashanah the nimsa shlei asur b'nei hagoyle ka'alachim abrin Elul. Deikanami de lahachi chasher rabbana de lekalkalu shar mayadus. They were afraid that the other holidays should not be ruined. V'tiru shehei Rosh Hashanah mekulkal l'goyla. So therefore, they allowed themselves to do this, even though in exile, where they're far away from the Sanhedrin, Rosh Hashanah becomes ruined. Now, there's big questions that were asked. There's the Gemarah, Shema Minah. This is good proof. This is good proof that this is the Pshat in the Mishnah. Takonas hamayadus. Zok Tosfos. Let's see Tosfos. There's two Tosfos in here, Mimais Ezra and Vayiskalkalu Kula Mayadas. So first he says, Mimais Ezra. Mimais Ezra ve'elech lematzinu elo mu'ubar. Mashma, from here it seems the Bimei Ezra haya mu'ubar. In the times of Ezra, it was mu'ubar. From Ezra and on, not. How does the Gemarah know this? How did the Rav know this? He says, "Smach tzas l'davar." There is some support for it in the Tanakh, the Ksiv, in the Sefer known as Ezra Nehemiah Perek Zayin. He says, "Vayiga hachodesh hashvi v'goymer." The 7th month arrives. Vayiga means it arrives. So, like you could touch it, Ungerit, yeah. Uksiv, it says there the next perek, Vayavi Ezra HaKoyen as HaTorah Lifnei HaKol. Ezra the Kohen brings the Sefer Torah in front of the congregation. Uksiv, it says, Bayoim Echad Lachodesh Hashvi. It was the first day of the 7th month. Uksiv, and it says, Vayikra Boy, and he read in the Sefer Torah. Uksiv Bay, and it says, Hayoim Kodesh Hu Hashem. This is the holy day for Hashem. So we see that he read the Sefer Torah on the 7th month, the first day. So it's clear that this is Rosh Hashanah, the 7th month, the first day is Rosh Hashanah. Uksiv Bey, but Uksiv, it says, Bayoim Hasheni, on the 2nd day, Nesfu Roshei Ha'ovos L'Chala'am. The heads of the families of the nation gathered, HaKoyanim, HaLeviyim, VaHaLeviyim, and the Koyanim and the Leviyim, Al Ezra HaSofer, Ula Haskil Al Divrei HaTorah, to understand more of the words of Torah. In other words, they learned and they read again in the Sefer Torah. So Tosfos is wondering, why by Yom HaSheni did they come back for Kriyas HaTorah? Why did they come back to learn more Torah? Mashma she'asu shnei yomim tovim shel Rosh Hashanah. It seems like that year by Ezra, they celebrated 2 days Rosh Hashanah. In other words, Lamed Elul was the first day Rosh Hashanah. Elul was 29 days, and they made the 30th day Rosh Hashanah. And then they made one more day Rosh Hashanah, which became Aleph Tishrei.
Not the whole day.
Huh?
Not the whole day. First day.
What do you mean?
It's not the whole day. If they don't come by a certain time, it's not jumped off anymore.
Depends why they came.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
That's it. 12 o'clock or whatever the time is.
Right. Now, so he's teaching what's Bayom HaSheni. Bayom HaSheni means the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Why would there be a second day of Rosh Hashanah? Because Elul, they decided, needs 31 days, and therefore Rosh Hashanah has 2 days. Day 31 and day 30. Day 30 became Rosh Hashanah and day 31. Maybe Bayom HaSheni means Monday. It was a Monday. The Ran says maybe Bayom HaSheni means it was a Monday, and therefore Ezra made a takana. Kriyas HaTorah Monday and Thursday is takanas Ezra. So maybe it's Bayom HaSheni, it's a Monday. So they read the Sefer Torah. On Monday you read the Sefer Torah. So the Ran says it can't be it was Monday, because if the second day of Tishrei was Monday, it means the first day of Tishrei was Sunday. And we say Lo Yadu Rosh. They don't do Rosh Hashanah on Sunday. Right? So therefore he says what's Bayom HaSheni? Bayom HaSheni means Elul was Mu'ubar, and therefore they made Rosh Hashanah Lamed Elul and Aleph Tishrei. And Tosfos says, V'kari le'sheni, why does he call it the second? It was Aleph Tishrei. So why is it the second? Pshat is Lemilsa. Sheni Lemilsa means a second to the thing, to the experience of Yom Tov. A second day of Rosh Hashanah. In other words, not a Monday and not Beis Tishrei. You could say Sheni means the second day of the month or the second day of the week. No, it's the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Uksiv Nami, another proof for this is B'yom Esrim V'Arba. Now you can't say this is a clear proof. That's why Tosfos says Smach Tzas L'Davar. Doesn't say clearly there's 2 days Rosh Hashanah. It just says they came the second day to read the Torah again. If Rosh Hashanah was a second day, so there was Kriyas HaTorah. On Yom Tov, there's Kriyas HaTorah. But Tosfos brings another ayah. Ksiv Nami, it says B'yom Esrim V'Arba L'Chodesh, on the 24th day of the month, Nes V'Kol Yisrael B'Tzoymu B'Sakim. The Jews gathered to fast and to put on sackcloth. Umashma L'Fisha Oz Hoyim Etzoy Sukkos Nesvu. Since it was the day after Sukkos Chavdala Tishrei, they gathered together to fast. A day before they wouldn't fast. Why? Because it's Yom Tov. This means when was Sukkos over? Chav Gimel Tishrei, and they fast Chavdala Tishrei. Frek Tosfos, I don't understand. The Ilav, the Hebrew, if they did not make Elul, an extra day, V'asu Sukkos B'Tesvav Boy, so they made Sukkos on the 15th day of Tishrei. In other words, Elul was 29 days. Rosh Hashanah began day 30. Day 30 was 1. And day 15 was Sukkos. Im Kain, Yudala de Yarcha. You have 14 days of the month of Tishrei, the first 14 days. V'ches de Sukkos. Then you have 8 days of Sukkos. Harechav Beis Yom. It's 22 days. How much is 15 plus 14? Right? 15 plus 14. So what do you have? 29 days. Harechav Beis Yom, you have 22 days.
14 and 8.
Huh? No, you have Yudala de Yarcha. You have the first 14 days of the month of Tishrei. Now you have 8 days of Sukkos. So now where are you holding? You're holding Chav Beis. You have 22. So when does Shmini Atzeres come out? The 22nd day of Tishrei, right? Yudala Tishrei is Erev Sukkos. Tesvav Tishrei is Sukkos. You have Tesvav, Tezayin, Yudzayin, Yudches, Yudtes, Chav, Chav Aleph, Chav Beis. That's the 8th day. So Yom Chav Gimel is Motzai Sukkos. 23rd day is Isur Chag. It's a day after Sukkos. So why are they fasting only on the 24th of Tishrei? They could fast already on day 23. The Ein Loim, you can say the Shafkul, the Tanisayu, Mishum, Machris Yom Tov. Perhaps they abandoned the fast on Chav Gimel because it's a day after Yom Tov, or Mishum Kachim Tinu out Chav Daled Boy. So therefore they wait one more day. Tosfos says the Me'oz Loi Hayu Noyagin Boy. Then there was no concept of Isur Chag. Then there was no concept of celebrating the day after Yom Tov. So therefore they could fast already on Chav Gimel. V'oid Shari Davar Shebet Sibur Haya. This was not for a private person. This was something of the tzibur, of the whole community, where you could fast the day after Yom Tov. So why couldn't they fast Chav Gimel Tishrei? This is another proof that Elul was pushed, Rosh Hashanah was pushed off by a day. Elul had 31 days. Since Elul had 31 days, so therefore it was Taka Chav Gimel from Aleph Tishrei. But it was still, if they would fast Chav Gimel, it would be Shmini Atzeres. Why? Because if you would count Rosh Hashanah from the first, if you would count from the first day, so then Chav Gimel was still Yom Tov.
Why did they call it Chav Gimel? They should call it Chav Gimel.
So you're saying, why did they call it Chav Dalet? You're right, that Chav Dalet was the first day after Sukkot, from the first day of Rosh Hashanah, but L'cha'ira, why was it called Chav Dalet? So the raya that it's not Chav Dalet L'chodesh, because mitzad the month it was Taka Chav Gimel, because Aleph Tishrei started a day later. But it means Chav Dalet from when they started to celebrate Yom Tov. In other words, if you're including the first day of Rosh Hashanah, which is Lamed Tishrei, this is going to be the 24th day. That's going to be the 24th day. I mean, that's how you have to tighten.
That's what the raya is. The raya is.
That's his raya. Yeah.
Not that.
Yeah. Yeah. So B'meila, the time of Ezra, Elul was Me'uba. That's why Rav said Mimois Ezra ve'elach. Then Rosh Hashanah was 2 days, but after that it wasn't Me'uba. Va'al yiskalkalu kulam mayadus. The other holidays shouldn't get ruined. So Rashi says, "Lamanda amalekamon shema abrim mishum yerkaya." If you say you make an an extra day so that the vegetables shouldn't be ruined, because vegetables get ruined faster. By the way, it says vegetables, not fruits, because vegetables get ruined much faster than fruit. So they won't be able to eat the vegetables the second day because you can't guard them for 2 days. So he says, "Nichid shayach hakulu." It makes sense that it relates to all the Yamim Tovim. But if you're worried about the mace, that it shouldn't get decomposed because you have to leave the corpse 2 days without burial because you can't bury him on Shabbos and Yom Tov Kasha. I have a problem, Tosfos says. You only have a problem on Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur and Shabbos you're not allowed to bury the dead. What about other Yamim Tovim that are near Shabbos? We said we learned the Masechta Beit, so we're going to see later, you could bury the dead through non-Jews. In other words, you're allowed to do it through a non-Jew. So if you're not allowed to do it through a non-Jew, it's not a problem. So the only problem is Yom Kippur. So why are you telling me, Al Yiskalkalu Kulu Mayadis? It's not an issue in all the holidays. Vegetables is an issue Rosh Hashanah, it's an issue Yom Kippur, it's an issue Sukkot, it's an issue Shmini Atzeres. But Messiah is only an issue Yom Kippur, number one. Now comes your question. Kivan the Yadi Kviyas Elul. If everybody knows when Elul came out, Amaitis Kalkul Rosh Hashanah. Why is Rosh Hashanah going to get ruined? Hayadi the Tidche Mipnei Adu. They know that if Rosh Hashanah was supposed to fall out Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, Bezdin will not establish Rosh Hashanah then, and therefore it's going to be a day later. So you're good. What do you have to send out shluchim for Tishrei? What's your problem? You're telling me because you may make Elul Mu'ubar, and therefore you have to send out shluchim. They're going to know. Why are they going to know? Like you said, because they know, according to Rashi, it's with a cheshbon of Adu Lo Yadu Reish. So you're good. Forget the shluchim. You're good to go. And Rosh Hashanah will never be ruined. The Mother. If Rosh Hashanah is not Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, they're going to know Elul is 29 days. If Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Elul is 30 days. And Rosh Hashanah starts a day later. What's the problem? This is the big question of Tosfos on Rashi. I'm going to add one more question on Rashi that the Rashba and the Ran and the Ritva ask on Rashi, which is why the Rishonim like Tosfos and the others have a different shot in the Gemarah, and then we're going to have to answer Rashi. But what's the next question on Rashi? The Gemarah says that Mimois Ezra ve'elach loy matzinu Elul Mu'ubar was never Elul Mu'ubar. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean we know for sure. It's that they didn't need it. But if they would need to, they would do it. So Rashi says, why would they need to? Because Rosh Hashanah could be on a Sunday and a Wednesday and a Friday, and that can't work. They say, 1 second. So you're telling me that for 500 years, there was never a situation where Rosh Hashanah would be Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday? That's impossible. The witnesses for 500 years. A whole year came perfect timing that Rosh Hashanah was never on a Sunday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. That's ridiculous. Obviously it happened. Over 500 years, you can tell me over a few years it didn't happen. You can't tell me for more than 500 years Rosh Hashanah was never Sunday. If Rashi is right, that the reason you would have to make Elul Mu'uber is why? Because Rosh Hashanah is going to be Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, and it's going to ruin the issue with the vegetables and the mason. It certainly happened many times. Just like you think it's going to happen in the future. If it happened many times, so of course they have to make Elul Mu'uber. This is l'chayra, a huge question, part of the practicalities. This is what Rashi believed. In Metzius, it's not shaykh that it never happened. This is l'chayra, a big question.
There's a question on us. The question is on the fact what the Gemarah says.
The Gemarah doesn't mention to say why you need. You'll soon see Tosfos says all different pshat.
No, but the Gemarah says 500 years it was not.
That I don't have a problem.
How could it be?
The witnesses came on the right day.
It was never...
Yeah, why not? The witnesses saw the moon, 29 at night. They came the next morning, or they came that night. Rosh Hashanah was the next day. Beautiful.
They didn't care about it.
And that was it. It never changed. So they don't have to do anything. They saw the moon. They came. So these are the three questions on Rashi. Tosfos says question number one: Mesim is only an issue Yom Kippur, not other Yomim Tovim. That's a pshat in Rashi, pshat in the Gemarah. Question number two: you don't have a problem. Everybody knows if it's adu, aleph, dalet, vav, push it off. Do it yourself. You're good. You have no issue. Rosh Hashanah won't get ruined. You don't need shluchim. Question number three, which the other Rishonim mention, is how could it be that it never happened for hundreds of years that Rosh Hashanah didn't have to be delayed based on Rashi's cheshbon of what's pshat in Gemarah. Zok Tosfos a whole different word. V'nireh. The lav mishum adu ka'amara itzrich ma'abrin alei. When the Gemarah said, if you need, you're going to make an iber elul, it's not because it's adalav dalad vav. Ela mishum de zimnin de loyro edim levana b'yom shloshim. That's it. 500 years we had mazel. There were no clouds in the skies in the night of Rosh Hashanah. Edim saw. But you could know that for the next hundreds of years the Mishnah is written, Edim are always going to see the Levana the night of 30. They may not. What happens if they don't? They can't make Rosh Hashanah the day of 30. What do they have to do? Then have to wait a day and make Rosh Hashanah day 31. They don't have witnesses. Hopefully it won't happen, but you can't be sure.
Adjust for your office and Mason. They doesn't take away from
No.
Adjust anyway.
Yeah.
Adjustments are
Yeah, but that's the vart. Ve'ein mekachin ad yom lamed aleph. They will not be Mekadesh till day 31. Mishum the mitzvah lekadesh al pi hariyah. Because it's a mitzvah to, when you can, to sanctify the moon based on to sanctify the month when witnesses saw the moon. This you could never know in advance. This you can't announce and say, hey, if Rosh Hashanah is going to be Wednesday, we're pushing it off. That's not something that you could announce. But you can't announce if Eidos are not coming. If Eidos are coming or not coming, they don't know. This is a whole different issue. This is what it means. Is going to be a kilkul and moyadas. Not kilkul moyadas that there won't be vegetables or that the mason will be ruined. Kilkul and moyadas means it could be Yom Kippur is going to be a wrong day, Sukkot is going to be one day. That's the pshat. This already answers the question. It's going to be a kilkul in all the holidays. Yom Kippur, Shmini Atzeret, Sukkot. Number two, nobody knows this. You can't say everybody knows Rosh Hashanah is going to be a day later. Maybe not. Rosh Hashanah is going to be on the right day. But maybe it's going to be a day later because there's no Eidos. This you can't predict. Nobody could predict the weather. Only God can predict the weather. Even the forecasters can't. So if that's the situation, you're stuck. That's why you have to send out shluchim. For 500 years they had mazel. Wonderful. But you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And therefore we don't know.
Even with the mazel they pushed off sometimes because of the
Yeah.
That just compounds the problem.
Let's say they pushed it off because Adu Rosh. Right? But this is not something you know.
Because you don't know what day it came out originally.
So even if they know when Elul began,
Just Adu Rosh if they don't see it on the night of 30, late the 31st. How could you adjust when Adu Rosh?
Maybe that's when they adjusted.
If witnesses don't see it on the Thursday,
and it's
then
in
is
the,
that automatic?
we'll address that in a moment in Rashi's word. Let's just finish Tosfos. Upadech, on this the Gemarah says, "Hamekalkal Rosh Hashanah sheyasu shnei yamim misafek." If you do this, you're going to ruin Rosh Hashanah. What do we mean you're going to ruin Rosh Hashanah? if you're going to push off Elul, if you're going to push off Rosh Hashanah by a day because witnesses don't come, and you're going to say, listen, you see, what do we do today? Today we don't have witnesses. We do it based on a calendar. Because there's a takana of Torah that when there's no witnesses, you could make the cheshbonis and establish Rosh Chodesh that way. Right? So Tosfos says maybe that's what they should have done. That's what the Gemarah is asking. They should have said, you know what, we're making Rosh Hashanah day 30. There's no witnesses, there's no witnesses. Why? Because Mekalkal Rosh Hashanah. What's Mekalkal Rosh Hashanah? Sheyasu Shnei Yamim Misafik. Outside they're going to have to do 2 days out of a suffix because they're not going to know. So it's better not to make Elul 30 days. And therefore know that the first day is always Rosh Hashanah. And everybody will know when Rosh Hashanah is because they know when Elul is.
Why is it a kilkul?
Why is it a kilkul to make 2 days? Like we do it. You're saying why? You want to know why our Rosh Hashanah is not a Rosh Hashanah Mekulkul? Huh? You'll make everything 2 days. You'll make Rosh Hashanah 2 days. Why is it a kilkul? L'cha'ira, at least Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Hashanah, and they're adding another day. In case the Adis came late, they're adding another day. No, in the Beis HaMikdash, they know what to do. Beis HaMikdash, they know what to do. But Pashtus the Vart is, once Chazal said you should do it, you should do it. But l'chatchila to do it, I guess there would be a gather of bracha levatala. Right? You're not putting on tefillin, number one. Number two, you're making a bracha l'shmoya kol shofar. You're making brachas on kiddush. All these brachas that you make, that we make the second day, when really you're not supposed to be making these days. You can't make a bracha today, but Hashem says only l'shmoya kol shofar. They're doing it because they don't have a choice. They have to blow shofar for 2 days. So Tosfos calls that a kilkul. Or meshani mutav t'skalkul Rosh Hashanah. Do that. Make 2 days. Val yiskalkul kol hamayadis. Don't ruin all the holidays. Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shmini Atzeres. Im yasu al pi iyu ma'edim v'loy al pi ariyah. If they're going to basically make Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah not based on when they really saw it. In other words, they won't push it off a day, but they'll basically do it right away on day 30 and say this is Rosh Hashanah no matter what. No matter what. That's very geschmack.
Why do we make brachas on the second?
They don't want the Moedas should be the wrong day. Al Yiskalkalu, it's not the right way of doing the Moedas. They should be done up here.
I'm saying the last word, the Mishnah says
that's Takanas HaMoedas. We play Takanas HaMoedas. To fix up the Moedas, they shouldn't be on the wrong day.
So why do we call it Yom HaRichtah?
Why we call Rosh Hashanah Yom HaRichtah?
It's 2 days. We call it Yom HaRichtah.
Oh, so you see here, Stam, an interesting ha'ara. Rashi Tainas, what's the kilkul? What's the kilkul? Rashi says, you remember that they did Rosh Hashanah the wrong day. In Ma'abrin Elul, they do it the wrong day. Tosfos says they're doing 2 days, because in the Mishnah, this is a l'shitase. In the Mishnah, Rashi says they would do Rosh Hashanah 1 day.
And you feel bad about it.
And they would feel bad. They went according to the majority. Tosfos argues with Rashi and says, no, they always did Rosh Hashanah 2 days. So you see the same argument here. Rashi says they did it 1 day. So the kilkul is they're going to be doing it the wrong day. If Bezdin really made Rosh Hashanah a day later, they didn't do Rosh Hashanah. Tosfos says they did it. They just added a day that was unnecessary. So we say, better do that. According to Rashi, better do Rosh Hashanah the wrong day. Or according to Tosfos, better add another day of Rosh Hashanah, which is not Rosh Hashanah, as long as the rest of the Yomim Tovim are preserved in the right way.
Rashi say it like that?
Huh?
Why wouldn't Rashi say it?
Like Tosfos, you
It
say.
makes more sense.
So now we have to understand the shit of Rashi. I mean, there's strong questions here. What do you want to say? Mutav Shetiskalkul Rosh Hashanah means in Golus, not everywhere.
According to Rashi, it's 2 different types of takala. It's not in the same it's not in the same vein.
No, same takala. 1 day or 2 days. According to Rashi, Mutav Shetiskalkul Rosh Hashanah, that they're doing it on the wrong day. They're doing it on day 30, really should do it on day 31. Or according to Tosfos.
So why you scalpel means what? That they're going to have raw vegetables?
No. That it's not on the right day. The reason is mitzvah the vegetables. Kilkul is that it's going to be the wrong day. If I'm doing Rosh Hashanah, day 30, so Yom Kippur is going to be a day early. That's a problem. I leave it that way. Leave it that way. So my Rosh Hashanah should be preserved. He says, you know what? Their Rosh Hashanah will be a mistake. But Yom Kippur and Sukkot will be on the right day. Why do they need that? You're right. Mitzad Yirakas. You're right. You're typhus. Not that I'm worried about the vegetables. We are worried about the vegetables. That's the aside.
Seems like a very cheap ruining of a Yom Tov.
What do you say?
Seems like a very cheap ruining of a Yom Tov.
A cheap what?
Ruining of a Yom Tov. Say that the vegetable will be fresh.
Maybe not. What Jews should eat. You're speaking from 2017. Yeah, they knew
That's
that.
was hot.
everything.
Inside the way it was hot.
It's not a cheap thing at all.
What vegetables and what vegetables will you eat?
Go back 2,000 years.
When he's 37
Go back
degrees,
2,000 years. It's not partial what you're saying.
Celsius, and you have vegetables
Saying
outside.
you take everything for granted. You open your pantry, you have potato chips and pretzels. I mean, what? You take them for granted.
They bake every day at the time.
What?
Probably infested.
So I want to tell you what the Aruch LaNer says. The Aruch LaNer, in his commentary here on Masechta Rosh Hashanah, this is how he explains, this is how he answers. Tosfos asks a big question. His question is, Loit Rash, the only reason you're pushing off Rosh Hashanah is because it fell out Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. So then everybody knows. Everybody knows when you're pushing it off, so there's no problem. That's why Tosfos says we're dealing with a whole other issue. The issue is that the Aders didn't come. So the Aruch LaNer says as follows. Very interesting. Even if Rosh Hashanah came out Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, now Aders come. They come into Bezdin and they say, two guys come and they say, we saw the moon last night. Everyone's like, oh my God, you're not supposed to see the moon last night. We need this to be a day later. What's the halacha? Because all Bezdin could do is, they could silence the Aders. They do us a favor. Go get a headache. Go to the dentist. Go find somewhere else. Once the Aders testified, yeah, they're, so to speak, their hands are bound. They have to make it Rosh Chodesh. They have to make it Rosh Hashanah. They can't change that. They can't manipulate it. So if the Aders saw the Levana and they came and they testified and Bezdin heard the testimony, this is what used to happen. It became Rosh Hashanah. And therefore, there was no Ibur. Elul was only 29 days. And this is what happened most of the years. And the Bnei HaGoyla relied on this, and they made Rosh Hashanah on day 30. This is what basically happened. The Aruch LaNer explains this in Rash. So Tosfos says, no, because Rosh Hashanah is Aleph, Dalet, Vav. You know for sure it's going to be pushed off. You don't know for sure it's going to be pushed off. Why don't you know for sure? Because if Aders come and open their mouth, it's not going to be pushed off. So you don't know for sure. So Rashi is right. It could be that they're going to get the Aders to be quiet. Like Tosfos says, Iyum ha'edim. They're going to get them to be quiet. And they'll allow Rosh Hashanah to be a day later. But it also could be not. And then you're going to be stuck. They didn't prefer it because the vegetables in the mason. You're right. We're stuck. The Aders spoke. The Aders spoke. So therefore, it's not a certain absolute thing. And therefore, you still have a suffix. What's your suffix? Your suffix is maybe yes, maybe not. And that's why they may be doing Rosh Hashanah the right day, they may be doing Rosh Hashanah the wrong day. That's how the Aruch LaNer teaches the Vart. That's how he teaches the Vart. So Mela, this answers the big problem of Tosfos L'chayra Aleph Dalet Vav. They know automatically Lo Yadu Rosh. You don't know because Aders still come and do it, and therefore it's going to happen. This explains also the big question. For 500 years, Rosh Hashanah was never on a Wednesday, Thursday, on a Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday. A huge shaila on Rashi. He says it was. But you know what happened? The Aders spoke. The Aders spoke and there was no Elul Mubar. There was no Elul Mubar. The Aders came and spoke. It never happened. Lo Matzino. But Rashi says, you don't know, it's not going to happen. It may happen next year. It may happen in 2 years. That's how the Aruch LaNer tries to answer the questions of the Rishonim on Rashi.
According to the calendar.
But then he says one more vart, which is another very interesting vart, a whole different mahalach that I want to mention. We'll finish with this. The Aruch LaNer says as follows. We're going to learn later, Daf Chaf, the Shitta of Rabbeinu Chananel, and some say this is the Shitta of the Rambam. that when Bezdin added a day to Elul, it wasn't the vegetables and the dead. This is the official reason. Ben Hananel says there was a Soid Ha'ibur. Soid Ha'ibur means they had very deep mathematical, astronomical, and spiritual cheshbonos that they received halacha l'Moshe Sinai, how the months have to work. Because we're going to see soon the next sugya, it gets very, very complicated with the moon. It's not a predictable situation. We have a general mahalach, but it's very, very complex. It's extremely complex. The Gemarah has an expression, Shemesh Yada Mavoyoi, we say in Baruch Nafshi, Shemesh Yada Mavoyoi, Yoreach Lo Yada Mavoyoi. The sun knows where it's going, the moon doesn't know where it's going. Which of course doesn't mean literally the moon doesn't know where it's going. It means when you follow the moon, you see that there's a lot of confusion. It's very, very difficult to deal with the moon. That's why the moon is called lunar, right? Lunatic, lunacy. The moon is not normal. The moon is not predictable. The moon represents a lunacy. It's called from the moon because, So the Chachamim, so everything is very nuanced. You gain here, then you lose here. They had a Soid Ha'ibur. They knew Rosh Hashanah can't be Wednesday or Sunday or Friday. The reason that was given was Yerakas and Mason, which was true. But that was the tip of the iceberg. That was the tam in Nigla. There was what's called, Rabbi Hanana calls a Soid Ha'ibur, the secret of Ibur, which they didn't tell the Olam because it was just beyond most people. So therefore they said Yerakas and Mason. So Mele Rabbeinu Hananel says, this is the Vart. When Rashi says Yerakas and Mason, Rashi is following the reason of the Gemarah. But there's a whole other dimension of why they pushed it off. So therefore, even if day 30 did not fall out, Aleph, Dalet, and Vav, there could still be a reason that they should push it off. There could still be a reason. And since there could still be a reason, they should push it off. And Bez the Goyla won't know about it, so there's going to be a kilkul in Rosh Hashanah. So Rashi sticks to Yerakas and Mason. But he says there's a whole other cheshbon why it happens. And because the whole other cheshbon, so therefore even if it's not B'yoyim Aleph Daled Vav, it's possible that Bezdin should make it a day later. This also answers. Tosfos says the reason of Yerakas only applies, the reason of Yerakas applies everywhere, but the reason of Mason only applies on Yom Kippur, not the other Yom Tovim. He says again, it's not Pshat Kilkal Amoyadis means because Yerakas and Mason. If that's the case, Rashi has a big problem because Mason is only a problem on Yom Kippur. It's not a problem otherwise. Use a goy. The Pshat is that Bezdin used to make the Chodesh an extra day because of Soid Ha'ibur. And if they wouldn't do it according to Soid Ha'ibur, all the Mayadis would be ruined because they would be in the wrong day. It has to be a day later. According to their Soid Ha'ibur, it has to be a day later. That's the problem. All the Mayadis are going to be ruined. Since all the Mayadis are going to be ruined, they had to send out shluchim for Tishrei because everybody knows Elul could be. Tosfos says, what do you mean the Mayadis? The Mason is not a problem only on Yom Kippur. He says that's the tip of the iceberg. There was a whole deeper problem. This is the shit of Rashi. Tosfos holds the issue is because maybe Adis didn't come, they saw the Levana, and therefore, even if they make Rosh Hashanah on day 30, it's a problem because you want to be Mekadosh al Pi Re'iyah, and you want the Yom Tovim should be based on sighting of the moon, not based on Kilkul. Huh? Yeah, the Pshat in Gemarah. Right. It's trying to deal with the Rashi.
But they did work with that. According to this, it's not like you're trying to say Pshat in Gemarah, but this is the holds that doesn't took into account. So the Ibra can be something that just Rashi.
Yeah. So according to this, when it says Loi Matzinu Elul Mu'ubor, Matzinu Elul Mu'ubor, Rishon never fell out Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. The Pshat is that they had their cheshbon. And they worked it out that Elul shouldn't have to be Mu'ubah. This Testament Beis in the middle of the page. The line starts Shema Minah, and there's two dots. Val Kislev Mepnei Chanukah, Val Adam Mepnei HaPurim. So the Gemarah is done with, not done, but the Gemarah finished discussing Elul and Tishrei. The Shluchim went out Elul to tell everybody when Rosh Chodesh Elul was, not because Elul itself has no days that anybody has to really know, But it's the end of Elul. It's when Rosh Hashanah would be. According to Rashi, they would therefore know when Elul began, so Rosh Hashanah would be day 30, because they assumed that Elul had 29 days. According to Tosfos, they would know when Elul began, so they would celebrate Rosh Hashanah day 30, and with a doubt, they would also celebrate day 31. In case Elul, by some chance, had 30 days, so they would also add another day. And that was a possibility, as the Gemarah says, that sometimes they never knew. Maybe Elul would have more than 29 days, either, as Rashi puts it, because Bezdin would make a decision that we have to delay Rosh Hashanah by a day, if we can, or because, who knows, witnesses may not show up, and therefore they have to done
They
that.
have 2 days. The Gemarah Bayas, but the Gabi say, no, that's why you have regular Yom Tov.
We learn.
So,
We learn that only Yerushalayim they have 1 day. Because the Shluchim cannot go nowhere.
Wherever they could reach, wherever they
No,
could
it's
go.
Right.
Distance, yeah.
So the answer is as
But
follows.
they don't have, there was no software.
Okay, so the answer is as follows.
Wasn't there once 1 day? I don't know what. I'm not talking about Matan Torah.
So the truth, I guess you're saying the Midbar Rosh Hashanah was 1 day, right?
It's just the 1 day, and when they first came there, it's so
Right.
The second is mixed. It was 1 day. Till the Riech was that, you know?
No, so here's the deal. In many parts, in most of Eretz Yisrael, they had to do Rosh Hashanah 2 days because the Shluchim wouldn't get there. But the reason today they do Rosh Hashanah 2 days everywhere is, and this is what we learned in Beitzah, is because even what's called in the Beis Havad, meaning even in the place of the Sanhedrin, where the action happened, where over there's no doubt, over there is where it happens, they often celebrated Rosh Hashanah 2 days. Why? Because they didn't know. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's what we learned. In other words, they used to wait day 30 for witnesses.
Mincha happened, the Eid didn't come, okay, everybody got
Right.
in their cars and drove to work.
Okay, because
No, they still put that in.
No, they get ready.
The rest of the day.
no. So what happened was they used to keep 30 because they didn't know if witnesses are going to come. So they had to treat a day like Yom Tov. Witnesses could come at 12, they could come at 2, they could come at 4, they could come at 5, right? So, and if they come, it's going to be Rosh Hashanah retroactively. You don't have any other Rosh Chodesh like this that you can't work. Here you can't work. It's not like Nissan or Tishrei or other months where you're waiting for other days for Yom Tov. So they would wait that day.
But then they made exam, they weren't Makabal Eid.
Okay, so now what happened was once the Adis came very late and it disrupted the carbon tamid and all that, because once you do the carbon tamid, you can't do any carbonis after, and it's Rosh Hashanah, you have to do carbonis musaf. So it was a disaster. So they were masakin not to be makabel edis min ha-mincha l'mayla. Okay, but what? So therefore, because in all those days, if the edis would come the first day, it was Taka Yom Tov, the way they decided to keep the day initially. If Edis wouldn't come that day, so then the second day was Yom Tov. So mitad that, often Rosh Hashanah itself was celebrated 2 days, even in the Beis Havad. Not always, because if Edis would come right away day 30, of course Rosh Hashanah was 1 day. But very often that didn't happen. So mitzad that, Rosh Hashanah became the concept of 2 days, even in Eretz Yisrael, even in Yerushalayim, even in the place of the Sanhedrin.
It says from Yechon all the way, not from Yechon, from Ezra, it said it never happened.
Right. Never, no loy matzinu elul mu'uber, right. But they waited. That's the point. So that's why the first day,
When Hill made the calendar, see, he made Bagola, it should be 2 days Yom Tov, right? That's the way they wanted it. They kept 1 day Yom Tov, so except Rosh Hashanah, even though we know when Rosh Hashanah
Right.
is now, we know exactly when Rosh Hashanah is.
it's the same minig of Eseno. It's the same minig of Eseno.
It's
It's minig of Eseno, yeah. So now we go to the next step.
What was the other reason I was saying? It could be they'll come and they'll mess things up.
Oh.
2 times.
Yeah. Val Kislev mepnei Chanukah, val Ader mepnei HaPurim. Now you have the Shluchim go out Kislev because of Chanukah, and they go out Ader because of Purim. That seems very logical, straightforward. Everybody has to know when to celebrate Hanukkah. Everybody has to know when to celebrate Purim. This is during the Beis HaMikdash and after the Beis HaMikdash. Remember, Hanukkah was established in the middle of Bayis Sheni, right? Purim was established at the end of Golus Bavel. So throughout the second Beis HaMikdash, and of course after that, you have Hanukkah and Purim. So you need to send out emissaries to celebrate these holidays. Fine. Zog the Gemarah, this is the Mishnah. Ve'ilu nisabru hashana yoitzin afal Ader sheni mipnei Purim loikatoni. The Gemarah is now struggling with a problem. There should be one more month when the shluchim go out, and that is nisabru hashana. Let's say the court, Bezdin, decides that we need a leap year. Now, if they decide it should be a leap year in the previous year or in Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevis, Shvat, wonderful. So then they establish Rosh Chodesh Ader, Rishon, and then there's a Rosh Chodesh Ader Sheni, and they send out the Shluchim for the right Ader to tell everybody when Purim is. But what if they decided it's going to be a leap year middle of Ader? In middle of Ader, they realized we can't just go to Nissan. We need another month of Ader. As we recall, the Chazal, the Sanhedrin, would sometimes decide that you need a leap year. The primary consideration was what? That Pesach should fall out in the proper season, in Chodesh HaAviv, which means in the spring season, after the equinox. In other words, when spring begins, when the sun reaches a certain point in its orbit around the earth. Basically, when the sun, what we learned earlier, hits Mazel Tle. If that's not happening, you have a major problem because Pesach is in the wrong season. Our calendar doesn't follow the sun, our calendar follows the moon. So as we learned, you often have to add an extra 4 weeks, an extra 30 days, in order to make sure that Pesach is coming in the right season. So now what happens if this decision was made when? In middle of Ader. So they already sent out Shluchim, Rosh Chodesh Ader to tell everybody when Purim is. The problem is, this Ader is not going to be Purim. Next Ader is going to be Purim because they're adding a new month. So l'chayda, the Mishnah should have said that if the year became a leap year, they had to send out shluchim a second time for the second Ader to tell everybody when Purim is. Yoitzin afal Ader sheni mipnei Purim. Since they decided to add a second Ader, so therefore you have to send them out for Purim, and nonetheless, loish gloiktani. This the Mishnah did not say that people should find out when Purim is because there's a new Ader. Emes, this wouldn't happen every year. You could say the Mishnah is talking about consistent things every single. This wouldn't happen every year because not every year is a leap year. And even if it is a leap year, if they decided the leap year earlier, then it's not a problem. They don't have to send out shluchim twice. They only have to send them out for Ader Sheni. Emes. But the Mishnah mentions Iyar. And the Mishnah says Iyar is only the time when the Beis HaMikdash stood. In other words, the Mishnah is including all possibilities, even possibilities that don't exist nowadays when the Mishnah was written. For example, the month of Iyar. Certainly it should add this, which exists even after the Churban Beis HaMikdash. This is the Ha'ara of the Ritva. Why you can't just say the Mishnah is talking about things that are every year. The Mishnah is not. The Mishnah is including a very broad range of things, including Iyar.
In the time when they were in Tasha Iyar, wasn't it the leap year was only when it was too early and they had to make a leap year, so they would know beforehand if they had to do a leap year or not? Often they always try to know before, but sometimes not. How can they not know? They know when
They make 2 points.
When the season changes, when the sun is very predictable.
With the sun and the moon, you're right, they would know. But there's other issues. For example, the harvest is not ready. They needed the harvest to be ready. You understand? So technically, you're right. Plus, there were things that they would use as a sa'ad, in other words, as an extra support to make a leap year. It was a very rainy winter, and the bridges, the Gemarah says the bridges are broken. So the Jews won't be able to cross rivers and brooks and streams and lakes, and it's mamash sakanas nefashos. There's no bridges. The roads are not paved. It's full of mud. Nobody could be oile regel. Okay? It's a very poor year of sheep produce. Not enough sheep were born, or flock born. People needed for Karban Pesach, they needed for Oilus Re'iyah, for Shlomim, all this. These were all not the primary reasons, but they were all used as support reasons. Sometimes till the middle, Yeah.
Very basic question. Why can't we just understand the Mishnah that when it says al Ader Purim, so then if there's two others, then this one becomes Ader Purim. Now it's Ader.
No, the Mishnah starts off, they send them out for 6 months. Here you would be sending for 7 months.
But this is, that one becomes irrelevant, the last.
Fine, but you're sending out shluchim again. We're not blaming them, but you're sending out shluchim again. Don't say for 6 months.
Don't send them out the first Ader.
They wouldn't know. We're talking again. If they decided that a leap year should be made, the decision was made after Rosh Chodesh.
Even if they knew.
In middle of Ader. So they already sent out the shluchim left Rosh Chodesh. Gone. Bye. A week later, they say, you know what? 2 weeks later, they say we need a leap year. Or 3 weeks later. Remember, you could make a leap year throughout Ader till the last day. You don't want to. You try to make it as early as possible, but you could.
So you do you celebrate 2 Purims?
Oh, so that's going to be the discussion now. That's going to be the discussion now. Why our Mishnah does not say this opportunity, this alternative?
You could say even if you could say they have to send it out anyway, even if they decided 2 days later, or whatever, because they could have to tell them not to do. Let's say they decided on Rosh Chodesh that they're going to do a leap year. How's everybody supposed to know? They're expecting the shluchim to come. They need to know.
Oh, so that's the question. And let's say they do Purim Ader Rishon. That's going to be the discussion now. What happens if you celebrate Purim in the first Ader instead of the second Ader? Okay. Now, technically, what's the real problem here? So you sent shalach manas. Okay. You gave some extra tzedakah, nish gefährlich. You had a meal. Okay, you got a little drunk. Okay, that may be a problem. The problem is it becomes Pesach, right? Nissan is the next month, and really it has to be 2 months. So l'chayre, you have to send out shluchim again. So the Gemarah says like this: Mas Nissan de loike Rebbe. Would this tell us something which we try to avoid pretty much saying? Our Mishnah is basically inconsistent with the view of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Why? The Tanya, we have a Bryce. Rabbi Omer, Im Nisabra Shana, Yoitzen Afalad Hashem, Mipnei HaPurim. We have a Bryce. Rabbi clearly stated, if there was a leap year, they have to go out a second time for other Shenim, Mipnei HaPurim. And this is Rabbi. That would mean that our Mishnah, which does not acknowledge this alternative, disagrees with the shit of Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. No, what's the big deal? Lema must listen to like Rabbi. Why is the Gemarah baffled by that? The problem is because generally the Gemarah has a problem saying that a Mishnah is inconsistent with Rebbe. You know why, right? Because he wrote it. He wrote it. Lahavdullah, somebody said history is going to be kind to me because I plan to write it. He wrote the Mishnah. So he wrote a Mishnah basically stam. He doesn't say Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Reb Yosef. He writes a Mishnah stam, disagreeing with him. So that could be for one of 2 reasons. One reason could be it was taken for a vote, and the halacha was chosen not like Rebbe, and this is the intellectual integrity of the Tanoim. I have a different opinion, but I'm writing a Mishnah la halacha. This is the halacha. That's it. Cancel. That's a possibility that the halacha is not like Rebbe, and Rebbe himself wrote a Mishnah in opposition to what he himself held, even though he held the shluchim came out. That's a possibility. Or another possibility is that the Mishnah is not inconsistent with Rebbe, but the Gemarah has a struggle to say that the Mishnah is the like Rebbe. I'm just explaining why the Gemarah says Lema must listen the like Rebbe, the like Rebbe, because he wrote the Mishnah. Now, Zag the Gemarah Lema b'hakam miflagi. Perhaps the logic behind the argument is as follows: Mar Savar, the Tan of our Mishnah holds. Kol mitzvahs hanoyagas b'sheni, noyagas b'rishon. Our Tana holds all the mitzvahs that you can practice Purim of the second month, you can practice also the first month. In other words, if you fulfill the mitzvahs of Purim in Ader Rishon, and then later there was a leap year, you don't have to do Purim a second time. You did Purim. You did Purim in Ader Rishon. Our Tana holds, that's fine. If you want to do Ader Sheni, do Ader Sheni. It becomes 2 possible Purims you can do. So you do Ader Sheni, but if you didn't know, you did Ader Rishon. Or, it's not that you didn't know. The leap year was created after Purim. Gesundheit, you're done. If that's the case, what do you have to send out shluchim again? You don't have to send them out. What's the problem? People will think this is the real Ader. They'll do Purim. Fine. Next month is Purim. Fine. So they won't do next month Purim.
They're going to go out for this anyway.
That's going to be a Shiloh. 1 second. About Nissan. You're saying you have to go out to get Shiloh. You have to send out shluchim for Ader Sheni, not for Purim. For Nissan. Because basically what's going to happen is Ader Sheni is going to become Nissan. And what's going to be the next month? It's going to be Iyar. They're going to be eating chametz 7 days of Pesach. That becomes a serious problem. You understand? Let's say you don't send them out for Purim. Fine. They did Purim Ader Rishon. So Pesach, they're going to celebrate Ader Sheni. The next month, they're going to think is Iyar. They're going to eat chametz for 7 days of Pesach. That's an Issachar.
They go off.
Ah.
So let them know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Find out in the minute.
But they're going to do Pesach even for 1 month before.
No, either you'll
You say they're going to do 2 Pesachs.
They're going to do Pesach.
you'll know if they come or if they don't come.
If the shluchim don't come, they know it's Ader Sheni. That's what Tosfos says. If the shluchim don't come, they know it's Ader Sheni. So that's not a problem.
There's places that they came very late.
By the 15th, if the 3
Okay, so they'll do Pesach.
They do 2 Pesach.
They'll do Pesach. What are we going to do? It's not their fault. You say, so what's going to happen? They won't eat chametz, so gluten-free for another 7 days. The problem is they're making a bracha al achilas matzah. That's the problem. You're saying the bracha levatala. That's true. You're saying they're making a bracha levatala. Yeah, that's always a problem. But it's not their fault. Achirei rabim lahatis. They do the best they can. There's always a klal. Lo nitna Torah lemalachi hasharis. Yiddishkeit was not given to angels. It was given to people. People do the best of their ability. Achirei rabim lahatis. They follow what they can according to their knowledge. If they don't know, that itself is a hashgacha. That itself, God knows. You understand? He can't demand things from people that's not shaykh. Doesn't make sense. So we're fine with structures that work for human beings. We're not angels. It's before the internet, before WhatsApp. When we became angels, yeah? Or addicts. Oile regel? You mean the time of the Beis HaMikdash? No, we're talking after the Mishnah's after the Churban. The Mishnah's all written, after the Churban. Okay. So according to this, so the Gemarah wants to say, what's the logic of the argument? Our Tana holds all the mitzvahs that you do on Purim, you could also do other Rishon, so it's good. So therefore, call mitzvahs on Nagas b'Sheni, Nagas b'Rishon. So you don't need shluchim to come out and tell me where the second Rosh Chodesh Adar, because I don't care if they don't know when Purim is. Zok Rashi, let's see Rashi. V'ilu im nesabra shana la'achar shenichnas Adar Rishon. You see, the Ibur was made after the first Adar, because if not, you don't have a problem. V'holchu ha'shluchim. The shluchim left. Yashvu bezdin v'inu. Bezdin sits down and it starts being ma'ayin, starts scrutinizing the situation. V'ibrua lasas Adar hasheni acharza. They're making a second Adar. So do you send shluchim? Our Tana holds no. Why? Because Noeg is berishin. V'yatzu yidei chayvasan bepurim sha'asa berishin. They fulfill their obligation. You don't have to send out shluchim to tell them about another purim. This would be our Tana. What about Rebbe? Umar Sava, Rebbe holds, kol mitzvahs anergas b'sheni, energas b'rishon. The mitzvahs that you have to do in the second Adar, you can do the first Adar. In other words, you did not fulfill Purim in Adar Rishon, so therefore Rebbe holds, you have to send out the shluchim again. Why? To tell everybody when Purim is. So this would say, our Mishnah disagrees with Rebbe. Rebbe would hold you have to send out shluchim, and the reason, the logic is, if you did the mitzvahs of Purim, the first Adar, if you fulfilled the mitzvah or not. That is what the Gemarah is thinking now. According to this, our Mishnah would be inconsistent with Rebbe. Let's take a look, Tosfos, before we go further. Masnisa de Loike Rebbe. You see? The third Tosfos on Yud Tes Amud Beis. Zok Tosfos, ve'im toimar, l'chayre here. You can ask a question. What's the Shaila? Well, the Tana didan, according to our Tana, kiven de loy nafki al Adar hasheni. Since they're not going out for the second Adar, he'eich yadu shenesabra hashana. How are they going to know there was a leap year? Bishleimi mibrua koydem Adar. If they decided on the leap year before the yichayim loydiyam, they shluchei Adar. When the shluchim of Adar come out, they say, by the way, you should just know, that there was a leap year. And by the way, and according to this, you don't even have to send out for Adar Sheni. You don't even have to send out for Adar Sheni, because let them do Purim the first Adar, right? And you should just know there's going to be another Adar. But if they did ibur afterwards, heichi yadi, how are they going to find out? The hamabrinan hashana kol Ader. Tosfos says the halacha is that you could do ibur throughout Ader ulechol hapachas at Purim, and certainly before Purim till Purim. So that means what's bothering Tosfos? Purim is not a problem, but they're not going to know there was a leap year. They're not going to know there was a leap year. They're going to get stuck with Pesach. V'yashloimar, even the shluchim yotzin al Nissan, since shluchim are going out every year for Nissan, memele yadi, k'shiyagir Rosh Chodesh vein shluchim yotzin imkein hashana mu'aberes. When Rosh Chodesh Nissan comes, and they see no shluchim came, so 30 days no shluchim came. Remember, they're thinking Ader Sheni is Nissan, right? Rosh Chodesh Nissan, shluchim was sent. 30 days later, there's no shluchim still. What happened? Imkein hashana mu'aberes. They understand even in far, far flung communities where it took 30 days, where they would have to do 2 days Yom Tov. That's the answer to your question. You see? Even those that lived 30 days away, where they would usually do 2 days Yom Tov, they're not going to make this mistake. Because they'll say, why did no shluchim arrive to us? The answer is, there was a leap year. It's a second Ader. We don't need shluchim. And therefore, automatically, what's going to happen? They'll know next month is next month of Pesach. Now, some of them may have done Pesach the wrong time. Some of them, the ones, who would not expect the shluchim to come by Tesvav. If I expect the shluchim to come by Tesvav, the fact that the shluchim didn't come means it's not Nissan. If it's not Nissan, I don't do Pesach. But let's say I live in a place where it's 20 days away, so I don't expect the shluchim to come. I already did Pesach. But then I'll do Pesach again, because the shluchim never arrived. Why did the shluchim never arrive? Because they never came for Ader Sheni. That would be the shit of Artana. Rebbe says, no, the shluchim come for Ader Sheni. This is the Havamin of the Gemarah, that there's a real machloikas between Rebbe and our Mishnah.
You have a big problem.
Yeah.
Because you have all these people that live in these far-flung places. What if something happened to the shliach? I mean, all this and nothing.
You mean that's a general question?
General question, you create huge problems. The
right.
shliach doesn't come, they're going to eat chametz on Pesach. Because Pesach's going to come, they're going to think it's Ader Sheni.
How did they send out something? They sent out one shliach, they sent out a caravan, they sent out security, and sort of some.
You're saying something can always happen.
Right, they didn't send one guy on a camel.
To every far-flung corner, they sent the whole entourage.
No, they didn't send. If there was a Jew who ended up in the Congo, or in Bora Bora, I don't know if they sent shluchim. They sent shluchim to the large communities of Klal Yisrael. Remember, this all ended a few hundred years after the Churban. So there was a limited. They were in Spain there already. You want to know they sent shluchim to Spain?
No,
it took more than a month to get to Spain anyway.
It says in Novi, the end of Novi, it says they were already in Europe.
No, we did both these two.
Sarfa, Svard. Rome, of course. Italy, of course. Huge.
They have like a Kotlarski to roll call.
They sent shluchim to Rome?
That's funny.
They sent shluchim to Rome?
There was a Jewish community after the Churban.
If they got them to Rome in time, they get them to Spain in time.
Hey,
it's also far.
Could be
2 weeks in a boat.
Caravans more.
In a boat, it's 2 weeks probably.
2 weeks, yeah.
So they would
You
all.
go all the way around, no?
Huh?
You have to go all the way around?
It's 2 weeks from Europe to.
Go by boat.
I mean, but all these places they wouldn't arrive for Yom Tov anyway. They wouldn't arrive there on time.
Right.
For sure. They have to get to the port. They have to get to Tel Aviv and then.
You mean to the port and then go to that
and
port?
yeah.
Zog the Gemarah, no, the Kula Alma Mitzvah Sanegas B'Sheni Enegas B'Rishon.
That's why we did 2 days.
Yeah, of course. The reason, no, really, you could say everybody holds that the mitzvahs of Purim in the second month don't apply to the first month. In other words, you have to redo Purim. If so, why would our Tana not say to send out shluchim for Purim? Forget Pesach for Purim. The argument is a different argument. The argument is about Ibur Shana. What do we mean Ibur Shana? What are the number of the days of the first Aderishan? That's the question. Rashi says, Kama Ibur Shana, v'hache be'Ibur Shana kamiflagi. The Tanya we learned to Braisa, Kama Ibur Shana. So Rashi, Kama Ibur Shana, Yimei Aderishan sha'oisa oisin Ibur L'Shana. Remember, Ader Rishon is called the Ibur for the year, Ibur Shana, because that's the month that was added. So the question is, how many days does the first month of Ader have? Since it's an artificial month, what do we mean an artificial month? It's an added month that we usually don't do. So it's not really artificial. I mean, we're counting it based on a new orbit of the moon. It's not like it's not a superimposed month, not al piteva. But the question is, does it have a number of days or not? This is going to be a machlaika, a fixed number of days.
Some opinions say there's no edus for Rosh Chodesh.
So that's what we're going to discuss now. Ibur Shana kamifli. Tanya will enter Braisa. Kama Ibur Shana. How many days are there in the month which is called Ibur Shana, the month that we add to the year? So the first Tana says Shloishim Yom. There's a fixed number. They always make it a month of 30 days, which is a chiddush, because a month could be 29 days. No, they always make it 30 days. What's the svara of this?
Even if Shluchim came?
You mean Edis?
Yeah.
Yeah, they make it lechatchil. It's going to be 30 days. Yeah. It's going to be 30. What's the svara? The svara is this gufa. The Turei Even, the Shagas Aryeh, in his commentary, says perhaps the svara is this. They wanted that Bezdin didn't want to have to send out shluchim to say when Rosh Chodesh Ader Sheni is, so people should know when Purim is. If everybody knew that Ader Rishon is always 30 days, you'll never have a problem knowing when Purim is. Right? Why? Because if the shluchim go out Ader Rishon, they tell you when Ader Rishon was established. Now you just count 30 days, and then you start Rosh Chodesh, so you know when Purim is.
What about this whole idea of having leap years to add time? So you always want to add as much time as possible.
That's what they're doing. They're doing 30 days.
Right, no, I'm saying if you're adding a leap year, they don't want to only add in 29 because they're trying to bring the thing back in sync. So
it's not always that you need 30 days. Depends how often you add. Remember, the discrepancy between the lunar year and the solar year is 11 days a year. Over 2 years, it's 22 days, right? Over 3 years, it's 33 days. So if you wait 3 years, then you want 30 days. If you wait 2 years, then on the contrary, you want less. Because then the lunar year is going to be ahead of the solar year. So it depends on the situation.
It'll give you 4 years.
Okay, it just depends on the situation, yeah? Why can't they add fixed 29 days? The answer is that's already much more tricky to make 29 days. Because to make 29 days, you say, even though we're not relying on witnesses, we're just doing our own Kiddush HaChodesh, right? That's a little more tricky. To do 30 days is we don't accept witnesses. By default, it becomes 30 days. To make it 29 days, you're already breaking the rules, which is you're supposed to accept Edis. You need Edis. You don't have Edis. So you're saying it. So now we have no choice. But then they had a choice. So they decided it's going to be 30 days. That's what Tanakam holds. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, Chodesh. What does a Chodesh mean? So Rashi says, Kasol Kadai Techav Tes Yamim. The Gemarah assumes Chodesh means 29 days. Why? Chodesh means a month. But if you said the first shit is 30 days, so Chodesh means 29 days. If so, the Tana of our Mishnah holds like Tanakama, and therefore he says you don't have to send out Shluchim for the second Ader. Why? Because they know that the second Ader begins on day 31 of Ader Rishon. Day 30 is still Ader Rishon. Day 31 is Aleph Ader Sheni. But the Rebbe would hold like Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, who says Ader Rishon has perhaps 29 days. If that's the case, you have to send out Shluchim for Ader Sheni. Frag the Gemarah, you didn't answer the question. Why do you say if Ader Rishon has 30 days, you don't have to send out Shluchim the Yadi? Because everybody knows when Ader Sheni begins. Nu, Chodesh Nami Yadi. If they know that Ader Rishon has fixed 29 days, they also know. That according to the first opinion, you have to send out Shluchim, and according to the second opinion, you don't have to send out Shluchim. As long as your numbers are fixed, you don't need emissaries for the second Ader Sheni. Right? Because everybody knows when it is. What's the problem? What's going to be the problem? Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa answers, no. Manda Amar Chodesh. The second opinion, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, who says that Ader Rishon is a Chodesh, he didn't say Chavtes, he said Chodesh. What he means is Ratza Chodesh, Ratza Shloishim. What he means is, it depends. If Bezdin wants, it's going to be 29 days. If Bezdin wants, it's going to be 30 days. The Pashtus, what this means is that since the new month could be 29 days and 30 days, so Bezdin basically has to each time, establish it based on when Eidos see the moon. Tanakama holds, no, they will always not accept the Eidos and let it be 30 days. If Shimon Gamliel says, Ratzah doesn't mean by whim, they wake up in the morning, they want 29, 30. Ratzah means if Eidos come 29, the night, they say they saw the night after 29, it'll be 30. If Eidos don't come till the night after 30, or they don't come at all, it's going to be, Rosh Chodesh will be a day later. Instead of Rosh Chodesh being day 30, it'll be day 31. But the point is, it's not fixed. If it's not fixed, so how's anybody going to know? Nobody's going to know. So Rabbi says you have to send out shluchim for the sheni. That's the machlokes. Ratzah chodesh, ratzah shloshim yom, and therefore you need to have shluchim to send out. Rashi says, "My shna lemanda, my shloshim dein tzarich lagzav v'l'shlech shluchim al yom kiddush adar hasheni." You don't have to send out shluchim for the chodesh adar sheni. Why? Even though they need to know and put him as the yadi b'nei hagoyla shelo olam adar rishon meubar. They know that adar rishon has always a leap. It's always a leap month. In other words, it's 30 days. Ubiyom lamed aleph niskadish. So lamanda machodesh nami ein tzarich loidia. Da yadi de loilam chaser ubiyom shloshim niskadish. They know that it's always missing a day. Rosh Chodesh is day 30. The answer is ratzu chodesh, ratzu shloshim. Lefichach tzrichen loidia masu malei chaser. So they have to notify everybody if Adar Rishon was malei, if it was a 30-day month, or it was a chaser, it was missing, meaning it was a 29-day month. They have to tell everybody when it is. That's the machlokes between Rebbe and our Mishnah. Zok the Gemarah weiter. Hey Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi mishum kahala kadisha di Yerushalayim. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi testified in the name of the Kahala Kadisha, the holy community of Yerushalayim. Basically, Chazal tell us in a few places that there was a community in Yerushalayim called Kahala Kadisha. Why they called Kahala Kadisha? So the Gemarah says in Yerushalmi, in Meiser Sheni, because there was a Jew there, his name was Rabbi Yossi ben Hamashulam, and another Jew, his name was Rabbi Shimon ben Manasseh, and they would split up the day into three, third for Torah, third for Tefillah, and a third for work. And because of that, they had this special status. They called them Kahala Kaddish of Yerushalayim. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi testified from them, Al Shnei Adarim Shemekatshim Oisim B'Yom Bureihen, that both others you make Rosh Chodesh on the day of the Ibur, meaning on day 30, which is the day that would have become the Ibur day, that would have been the extra day. In other words, if they wouldn't make it Rosh Chodesh, that day would be added to the previous day. That's called Yom Iburehen, the day of pregnancy, meaning the day that you would add to the previous month. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, both others, they would be Mekadesh, they would sanctify Rosh Chodesh on that day. In other words,
30.
Day 30 of Adar Rishon was always Rosh Chodesh Adar Sheni. Day 30 of Adar Sheni was always Rosh Chodesh Nissan. So both others are always 29 days, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says. Rashi says, Mekatshnoisim b'yom iburein, Yom Shloshim Kari Yom Ibur. Day 30 is called the day of
Ibur.
Literally Ibur, impregnation, pregnancy. Because that's the day that is added to the month when you are ma'aber the month, when you make a larger month. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi testified that it's the day 30 that becomes the new Rosh Chodesh for both months. Yom Lamed l'Adar Rishon Rosh Chodesh Adar Sheni, v'Yom Lamed shel Adar Hasheni Rosh Chodesh Nis. That's the Chiddush. Before we learned the machlokes about Adar Rishon, does it have 30 days, or is it dependent? Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says both others are fixed. Both have 29 days. Zog the Gemarah l'meimra. In other words, what he's saying is the chaserin avdina melein lo avdina. Basically, Bezdin strived always to make sure that the two others are always chaserim. They're always missing. They're 29 days. They're not 30 days. That's his point. And this is not a question. Rashi says b'nichusa. The Gemarah is saying this as a statement, a relaxed statement. L'meimra, not l'meimra. How could you say l'meimra? This is what he's trying to say. Why is that so significant? This excludes, this negates what Reb Nachman, the son of Chizda, taught. What did he teach? Hey, Reb Simoi, he gave another edus. He said, Reb Simoi testified, Mishum Chagai Schario Malachi, in the name of three personalities that you can't dismiss easily. This is Chagai Schario Malachi. In other words, Reb Simoi says that he heard from his Rebbes in the name of Chagai Schario Malachi. This doesn't mean he himself heard it from them, because it was impossible for him to hear it from them. Chagai Schario Malachi are considered the last prophets of the Jewish people. They are the ones who come up from Babylonia, and in the era when they're rebuilding the second Beis Hamikdash, they make the second Aliyah, and they are the Nevi'im Acharonim, Chagai Schario Malachi. Tanakh ends with the prophecies in the books of Chagai Schario Malachi. So they're like the last Nevi'im, the last Navi, and Tanakh is Malachi, the last one. What did they say? They said, Al Shnei Adorim, on both Adorim, Shem Ratzu La'asaysun Shnei Emelein Oysin. You want to make them both full 30 days? Do that. Shnei and Chaserin, both missing, Oysin. Echad Molei ve'echad Chaser, Oysin. The first 30, the second 29, Oich Gut. V'kach hayu noyagin begoyla. And he says, Reb Nachman says, and this was the minig in exile. This was the minig in exile. What do we mean, the minig in exile? When Jews lived, Rabbi Hananel says Jews were living in Babylonia in Pumbedisa, and they had to do Ibur Hashanah over there, because basically Ibur Hashanah always has to be done in Eretz Yisrael. But the halach is, the Gemarah says in Brachas, that if you have a Talmud Chacham, Shelo Yiniach Kamoisei B'Eretz Yisrael, you have a Talmud Chacham living in Babylonia and there's no parallel to him in Eretz Yisrael, he could make Kiddush HaChodesh and Ibur Hashanah even in Chutz La'aretz, which is a Kiddush. Usually it has to be done in Eretz Yisrael. Mitzion Teitz Yisrael Dvar Hashem Yerushalayim. But if there's nobody like him in Eretz Yisrael, and of course he got Smichish, Mipiyish, and he's living in Bavel, he can do it. So there was a time that in Golus they decided Ibur Hashanah, and he says that's what they used to do. What did they do Begoyla? They would do exactly this thing that the tradition of Chagai Schario Malachi. So it could be both 30, both 29, or 130 and the second 29. Mishum Rabbeinu Amru. But in the name of Rav, it was said, Rav, La'olam, he was called Rabbeinu in Bavel, La'olam echad malei ve'echad chaser. Usually Bezdin always did the first one full, 30 days, and the second one 29 days. When we say la'olam, it doesn't mean always, it means usually. Actually, unless you find out from the shluchim that actually they made Rosh Chodesh Ader Sheni in its time. What do we mean in its time? Its time would mean that the first month was 29 days and they did it the first opportunity. Its time means if Eidos came, that becomes the time. So that would be Bismana. So this is a third shit. So we have the shit of Rabbi Shua ben Levi that what? Both others were always 30. They always kept them 30. In other words, they would delay the Eidos. If the Eidos came, they wouldn't take Eidos. They wanted it should be 30 days. Both others. They wanted more days. The second shit is the name of Chagai Schario Malachi. All options were available. All options. Both 30, both 29, 130, 129. The name of Rav, he says, first 30, 29, but it wasn't La'olam until you know it was otherwise. In other words, this is the system they would like, they would prefer, but if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. If Eidos came, they could make it also 29. Rashi says, Mishum Rabbeinu Rav, Shehukver Rosh Chodesh Bizmanai, Ad She'amru Lecha Boyim Eretz Yisrael, Kitshu Bezdin Rosh Chodesh Ader Sheni B'Yom Lamed L'Ader Harishon, V'asu Es Harishon Chaser. Okay. This is all the different shittas about the two others, based on the machlokes. It all started the machlokes in our mission. If you have to send out shluchim for Ader Sheni, but our Tana obviously believes that it was a fixed amount. At least the first Ader was a fixed amount. He's not talking about the second Ader, and therefore you don't have to send out shluchim for Ader Sheni because we know how many days it is.
The second Ader was not fixed because otherwise, why would you need for Nissan?
Right. Well, usually if it wasn't an Ibr, you're saying if it wasn't an Ibr year, what do you need Nissan? Right? But if it wasn't an Ibr year, then of course you need. Sagt die Gemarah weiter, Sholchu leile Marukva. They sent a message, the Bnei Yeshiva sent a message to Marukva. Marukva lived in Bavel. He was a Av Bezdin, he was the head of a Bezdin in Babylonia. Adur hasamach leNissan la'olam chaser. A whole new word. Adur that comes before Nissan is always 29 days. No difference if it's a leap year. Now is a problem. No difference a leap year or a regular year. Other before Nissan, they always made 29 days.
Even if Shluchim don't come.
What do you mean shluchim? You mean Adis?
Adis, yeah.
You mean if Adis don't come? That's what he's saying. They always made it. They always made it. In other words, they always wanted it should be 29 days. Always. Other asamach l'nisan lo'elam chas. The Gemarah is going to reject this. The Gemarah is going to reject this because Tosfos asks a very big question. Your question: if if the Bnei Yeshiva are right, we have a problem. Why are they sending shluchim for Nissan? You have to say they're sending shluchim for Nissan because nobody knows when Rosh Chodesh Nissan is, but everybody does know. In other words, once you know when Ader began, because they sent out shluchim for Ader, right? So you already know when Nissan began, because Ader is 29 days. What do you have to send out shluchim for Nissan? And why do people have to make Pesach 2 days? Everybody knows. Once they hear about the shluchim of Ader, by the time Pesach came, they knew when Ader was, they figured it out. That's a big question. So Tosfos says the Gemarah is anyway going to reject this whole limud. Because the Gemarah is going to reject this anyway, we're not even getting into this question. Because in reality, this wasn't the case. It could be 29 days. Our calendar, that's taka the case, I believe. In our calendar, that's taka the case. Other is lo'ilam chaser. But today this is not negeya because we don't have kiddush hachedesh al piyariyah. But here the Gemarah is going to reject this limud. So maybe it's not a question why they didn't send out shluchim for this. This is the last Tosfos on the picture. Without Adis. Without Adis. Even if there's Adis, great. If there's Adis, great. Usually there were Adis. Even if there's no Adis, there could be Kaveh Chadash. Just like we're Kaveh Chadashim now, there's no Adis. Bezdin has a Kech to Mekadosh Rosh Chodesh. It's not the Kech. In other words, there's two ways of making the Rosh Chodesh. The initial way is Adis. That's the ideal, perfect way. But there's alternative number two. Alternative number two is Bezdin has the Kech to Mekadosh Rosh Chodesh.
Anyways, the Bezdin. Even
with Adis, you need Bezdin. But I mean, Bezdin has. How do we have Rosh Chodesh? Why is Rosh Chodesh today holy?
And because they
Hillel was Koiveyet, even though there's no Adis coming, because he was Koiveyet. Now, we're not talking about a corrupt Bezdin. Then it's not a Bezdin. We're talking about Bezdin that's completely loyal to Torah and want to know what Torah wants, what Hashem wants. Of course, it's not Stam a Bezdin wakes up in the morning. We're making Rosh Chodesh on Tazai Nissan. It's not Rosh Chodesh. It has to be with the Koyach of Bezdin. We in our calendar, when there's an Ibr year, I believe we do Adar Rishon 30 days. And we do Adar Samach Nissan 29 days. And the reason we do, Tosfos says we do it, and the reason we do 30 days is like you said, because you want a leap year, you try to, for us it's not negated, the Shluchim shouldn't go out again, there's no Shluchim, you try to add another day, because you want, the whole point is you want extra days. So we do our first Adar 30 days. Now, Zog the Gemarah, Ader before Nissan, the Bnei Yeshiva Tainit is always 29 days. Meisav Reb Nachman. Reb Nachman asks a question. We're soon going to have a mission on Daf Chafalef al Shnei Chadashim Mechalel and HaShabbos. There are 2 months when witnesses who saw the moon are allowed to desecrate Shabbos to come to Yerushalayim and say they saw the moon. Usually, they can't be Mechalel Shabbos. What's the Chilul Shabbos of coming to Yerushalayim? Of course, Tchum Shabbos. If I'm living far away in Eretz Yisrael, I can't walk a certain amount on Shabbos, more than the Tchum, more than 2,000 Amos. Nonetheless, there were 2 months, if I'm on Eid and I saw the moon, I can go Shabbos morning and walk more than 2,000 Amos, even though it's a Tchum Shabbos outside of the city, there's no Erev Tchumen, in order to come to Bezdin.
I thought you could always do it. Did you ever say you could always do Mechas? I remember learning you could always do Mechas Shabbos.
There's going to be a machlaikas.
like usually.
As usual, right? Basically, we're going to see later Daf Chafalef. Mitzadin Torah, you're allowed to be mechalel for all the months, as we're going to learn. But the Chachamim only allowed it on these 2 months in practicality, because the Yomim Tovim, which 2 months? Nissan and Tishrei. Why? Because the Yomim Tovim depend on them. So they felt, let's say, Kislev. Okay, so the Aders don't come. Okay, so if they don't come, so Rosh Chodesh will be a day later. But they felt that Pesach and Tishrei, Pesach, Nissan and Tishrei, because they are Yomim Tovim, so you want them to be, so to speak, as accurate as possible. So therefore they allowed the Aders to come. Al Nissan Val Tishrei. this is what we're going to learn soon. Rashi says, Mechalin as HaShabbos. Eidim sheroes halavana b'chidusha mechalin as HaShabbos lotzis chutz l'tchum lovei lebezin lo'id l'fnein. Why? L'fishamayadin kulon tluyim b'shnei chadashim halom. The Yamim Tovim depend on these. What does it mean, all the Yamim Tovim? Because Shavuos too. Because Shavuos depends on Pesach. The Kasol Kedaitach Chilula de Shara Rachmana Mishum de Kviyas Yarchel Firi'iyas Halavanahu Imole Mole Im Chasa Chasa. Reb Nachman thinks, why does the Torah allow Chilul Shabbos? Because the only way to establish Rosh Chodesh is by seeing the moon. If you saw the moon after 29, it's 29 days. If you see the moon after 30, it's 30 days. That's what we thought. So now Reb Nachman is asking a major question. You're telling me that Ader before Nissan is always 29 days. We have a big problem here. If you tell me Bishleim, Zimnin Mali, Zimnin Chaser. Sometimes Ader is 29, sometimes Ader is 30, and you need the Aders. Now I understand why you tell Aders, come be Mechalel Shabbos for your Aders, because without you being Mechalel Shabbos, I got no Rosh Chodesh. And I want to have a Rosh Chodesh because I want an accurate Pesach. I want it should be really Pesach. I want Tesvav should be Tesvav. Emes, the Torah says whenever we make Rosh Chodesh is going to be Rosh Chodesh. But we want Pesach should be a real Pesach. And I need you. So be Mechalel Shabbos. I get it. The Chilul Shabbos here has an objective. It's all totally in your Edus. If they saw the moon on day 30 and they don't come to say Edus, what's going to happen? Bezdin will be stuck. And they won't be Mekadosh the Chodesh that day, only the next day, and Ader will have 30 days instead of 29 days. But if the Bnei Yeshiva are right, it's anyway always 29 days. Am I Mechalalina? What do you have to be Mechalel Shabbos for? I don't understand you. Let's say, one second, let's say they don't come. You say Chilul Shabbos, they don't come. You're telling me that what? It's La'olam Chaser. What does La'olam mean? La'olam means I don't care if you come or you don't come. So what do you need Chilul Shabbos? So if there's no Chilul Shabbos, fine, why not? It's Kishmaker. But if there's Chilul Shabbos, why be Mata Chilul Shabbos? Rashi says, Eliyamrit La'olam Chaser, V'inami lo yasu eidim, mekakshin la'eidna. So without Eidus, you're anyway doing it. So Lama Lechalom. You don't need Chilul Shabbos. And for the Gemarah, it's not a question. Reb Nachman's question is not a refutation. You're right. Mishum the mitzvah lekadosh al hariyah. The initial mitzvah is to sanctify the new month based on the vision, based on Re'iyah, based on the vision of witnesses of Solomon. Rashi says, Al Re'iyah al pi Aden. The Ksiv.
It's something for Kislev, Cheshvan, Kislev.
Oh, good question. The Ksiv, the Pasuk says in Boy, HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim. It's a small Rashi, but it's not such a small Rashi. The Pasuk says, HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodashim, Rishonu lachem l'chadshei Hashanah.
That's only for this.
So we have a problem here. The problem here is the pasuk is redundant. First it says this month is the head of all the months, and then you say it's the first of all the months. Thank you, ahead and the first is the same thing. So Rashi teaches there's two parts in the pasuk. The second part of the pasuk tells you that Nissan is the first month. The first part of the pasuk says something else. HaChodesh hazeh. Chodesh is not the month. Chodesh is the new moon. HaChodesh hazeh, you see this new moon? Lachem Rosh Chodashim. When you see this new moon, hazeh, you make Rosh Chodesh. Kazeh look at this type of moon, v'kadosh. Hashem showed him this moon, what it looks like after the birth, after the moiled, v'kadosh, make a new month. In other words, that's the ideal mitzvah, to look and make Kiddush HaChodesh. Could Bezdin do it without it? Based on astronomical calculations, they could. But mitzvah l'chadsh al period, and for that it's worth Chilul Shabbos.
Regarding Nissan,
yeah.
We don't care if Pesach's a day earlier, a day later. Whenever they make the moon, we'll make Pesach in that month. I understand Tishrei, they said last time that they wanted to make sure it doesn't fall out next to Shabbos. They wanted extra flexibility to cheshbon the dates. You don't have Yom Kippur and Shabbos the same, back to back. But regarding Nissan, what's the difference? I understand needing, if you're going to say Nissan, it's like any other month. What's the difference between Nissan? Who cares what they when if Pesach's a day earlier, a day later? What's the difference? If the Yom Tov comes based on when the month starts, whenever the month starts, what's the difference? What does it help you?
Well, that was his question. His question is, yeah. What was your question?
If If you know when it's
Why only Nissan and Tishrei are mechalel?
Tishrei we understand.
No, why not other months?
No, but I'm saying Tishrei we understand. Tishrei is because of Yom Kippur. You want to make sure that Shabbos, you want that extra flexibility.
Shabbos and Yom Tov shouldn't be together.
Right. So
Right.
if you could choose, if you have the choice of the days, you could always make sure.
In other words, the way Rashi it seems is that because it's not Stam Rosh Chodesh is a Rosh Chodesh. It's Negeya to Pesach. They want it should be as accurate as possible.
What's accurate?
Astronomically.
What's
Astronomically. If you could see the new moon, it's Rosh Chodesh. That's what Rosh Chodesh is.
It seems like they move around the dates for a lot.
So if you see the new moon and there's Chilul Shabbos,
They want to move it around sometimes, they just move it around anyway.
no, it wasn't. That's his point. That Nissan they wanted to be very makbid. That was his point. So
I
Mechalel
think the Yom
Shabbos.
Kippur they should probably want to be more makbid, right?
So he says Nissan and Tishrei.
Fine, but Yom Kippur they're going to move it around based on Shabbos, which is going to the cheshbon for Tishrei is not to be makbid on the days. So it's the cheshbon Shabbos.
Actually, Tishrei is the Mesa more so than the Shabbos, more than the vegetables. No, you said.
Yeah, we'll soon see two reasons.
No, you said.
Generally, when you say they move it around, it doesn't mean it's like musical chairs.
No, but they made it very clear cheshbon. They never wanted to work out where it's next to Shabbos.
Right, for the benefit of the community. But what they would do it in a wise way, meaning they would make sure, right?
It was like months later.
Yeah, they would start months
You could
before.
start months before, but if you don't have the dates, if the guy doesn't show up, so you're right. You need that 29 in your arsenal. If you don't have the 29 in your arsenal, you could lose your.
Yeah, if they don't show up, they don't show up. But the point is that they would start months before.
But every month you have a 2-day option, potentially. So
Right.
you could start months before.
No, but you have a
if
2-day option, but you could delay with the Ader sometimes.
Right, but you need.
Or you
the
can
option.
investigate them so much that they don't know what hit them.
Fine.
And they'll
but
say,
you
we
still-
didn't see anything.
You're right. So you could always get the 30-day.
Right.
But in order to
That's
get the
what I mean.
29-day, you need the Aiden.
Right.
So you never know. Maybe they need that 29-day. So
Okay.
they need them in their arsenal just
Yeah.
in
Did we
case.
say,
Yeah.
did we say Miami Yevis
Somebody
before
tried
the
to
Mesa
say-
Village?
Macha Chodesh.
It's sometimes
How do you
Macha
know?
Chodesh.
How can he possibly?
Without,
Without the calculation, there's no way to have known.
That's a big
They
Macha
they
Chodesh.
did what they had to do to take care of business. They're talking about a show by when
But this is the word that they want accuracy because it's Yom Tov. Tammuz, okay, so it's the wrong day. So it's the day after the Moilad, okay. So what will happen? So Tesvav Tammuz is really off, okay. But Pesach, I don't want it to be off. I don't want to eat chametz on the wrong day.
It's not comments on the wrong day because whatever day the Mechadish the Chodesh.
You're right, but we're talking about those who are doing it. You're right, me and you, we're good. We're not responsible. But those who are responsible, they want to do it in the most perfect way. Not that if not, it's forbidden. God says, I give you the authority as long as you're following, the rules of Torah. But when you're in charge of the project, you want it to be accurate with astronomy. That's Papash. That's what it seems from Rashi. Because of the fate of Yom Tov, and Yom Tov is a serious thing. It's a malacha, it's holy, it's a chametz, whatever it is. Chiyuv sukkah, chiyuv shofar, chiyuv fasting.
So we should do it for Rosh Hashanah then also. Elul.
We say Tishrei. No, we're talking about Bezdin themselves. We're not talking about. No, we do. Yeah, we're talking Tishrei and this.
No, but Elul should affect it also to know exactly when Rosh Hashanah is.
Well, you could say every month. We're talking about the Moilad. The Moilad. That the moon should be accurate. Okay, so let's just finish this shtickle.
Why didn't they propose this mitzvah machal or?
You're asking a good question. If mitzvah l'kadosh al pi hariyah, right?
Why only this two?
If mitzvah l'kadosh al pi hariyah, no. So what's your shaila?
Why only this two Chodesh? Why only?
We said, so what for every Chodesh? If the mitzvah is the reason he called Shabbos.
So you're saying if it's every month, what's up? If mitzvah l'kadosh al pi, in other words, we're saying that there may be 29 days anyway, but we want to have Aders because that's the mitzvah. So we're mechalel Shabbos. So every month we mechalel Shabbos. That's a good question. Great question. So it's interesting. The Ritva asked this question. He says the Gemarah has a better question, and the Sfas Emes says that that's the next question. Even though it's written in different words, he says that's the next question. You'll see in a moment. This is the next question. You'll see, because the Gemarah is going to ask a major question and reject this. So let's just finish. Ikadamni. Some say the version, the way Reb Nachman rejected was a little different. Amar Reb Nachman, instead of asking, he proved. Afa na nami tanena. We learned in the Mishnah, al shnei chadashim mechal l'nas haShabbos. This is Tishrei. So Reb Nachman is saying, if they were right, it's always 29 days Ader. I know why there's chilul Shabbos. Why? The mitzvah l'kadosh al piyari. He right away assumes it because it's a mitzvah to do it with witnesses. So therefore, you have 29 days and you have Aders, and you want them to be mechal Shabbos because you want 29 days to do it the right way. Even though if they don't come, you're going to do it anyway. But if you say that sometimes it can be 29, 30, so then, amay mechalalinun. So then, why do you have to be mechalal Shabbos? What's the big deal? Na'abriya idna. Let them do other 30 days. And the kachal machar, you'll make Rosh Chodesh tomorrow. It says, shaila. In other words, it's not mukhrich, it should be 29. If it's not mukhrich, it should be 20, it should be 30. Okay, so what do you need chilul Shabbos for? What do you need to do chilul Shabbos for? It's going to work anyway. So the Gemarah, if day 30 is on Shabbos, that's going to work, not a problem. Why is it going to work? Don't be mechalul Shabbos. Let them come tomorrow. But the Mishnah is talking about the ikla yom shloishim ve'echad b'Shabbos. 31 is on Shabbos, and that's when they see the moon. So Bezdin has to be mekadosh the chodesh that day because you can't have a chodesh more than 30 days. And mitzvah lekadosh al re'iyah, and it's a mitzvah to have witnesses. So therefore, they wanted them to be mechalal Shabbos because now you don't have a choice anymore. You can't say, "Oh, let them come tomorrow." No, they can't come tomorrow. They need to come today. I forget, just do it. But it's a mitzvah to do it with Adis.
But that goes for all Kadosh.
Huh?
Yeah, you could say that's
Oh. So now comes the question. This you should say for every month. So now comes the last question, which is going to refute the statement they sent to Marukva that's 29 days.
They always do up here either if there was 30 days, after 30 days, on the 31st.
If they had witnesses, yeah. If not.
They wait for witnesses.
If they can have witnesses, great.
Mitzvah cloudy that whole week.
Cloudy, exactly. What are you going to do? You're not going to have Rosh Chodesh? You're going to wait, and then the Rosh Chodesh can only be one of 2 days, 30 or 31. There's no other option. You're not making Rosh Chodesh the 16th of the month.
It's the first day of the month.
Huh? The head of the month.
People get confused because it's 2 days Rosh Chodesh we have.
Right.
We always have 2 days Rosh Chodesh.
Right. Okay, so Reb Kahana. Reb Kahana says, I have one problem. What's the problem? We said the Mishnah says that you could be Mechalel Shabbos for 2 months. But the Mishnah adds, Ksha Mikdash Kayam, when there was a Beis HaMikdash, Mechalelin Afal Kulon. They could be Mechalel Shabbos for all. You know what? Neitakonas HaKarban. Because here they wanted every month should be accurate. You know why? Because they had to bring a carbon under Shchodesh. A carbon Musaf. Today we don't have this. So it's the wrong day. Okay, so it's the wrong day. But then they had to bring a carbon. So they tried to be accurate. Neitakonas HaKarban. Now what do we see from here? So what's the heta to be mechalel by the other months? Not because mitzvah lekadosh al piyariya, not because of that. The reason is why? Takanas HaKarban. Nissan v'Tishrei nami lav b'shum mitzvah lekadosh al piyariya. If so, Nissan and Tishrei is also not for that. Because if that was the reason, so then even after Churban Abayis, you should be at Matir by all months. You see, this is the question you're asking. From the fact that it says Bezman Beis HaMikdash, it was all months with Takanas HaKarban, and after the Beis HaMikdash it's only Nissan and Tishrei. So that obviously the reason is not because Mitzvah L'Kadosh Al Piyariya, because then it would apply to all the months even after Churban Abayis. Is the Charaya, the reason is not that. The reason is because Nissan and Tishrei is because it's the time of Yamim Tovim. And that's why they want Adis for the moon, because they need the Adis for the moon. So, if Ader could be 29 and 30, I understand why you allow Chilul Shabbos, because without that, you can't be Mekadosh the Chodesh Bizmanai. But if you say it could always be, it's always 29, why are you allowing Chilul Shabbos? You're anyway going to do it on day 29. And you can't tell me that what? Mitzvah Lekadosh Al Pi Re'iyah. Why? Because then every month should work, not only these 2 months. So the Gemarah to Yufta, this rejects it's a refutation of this shitta that Ader is always 29 days. It could be 29 days. It could be 30 days. And therefore, you want Eidus to be Mechalel Shabbos. Why? Because you want them to come and testify, so you should have the Yom Tov on time. Because if the Eidus see it and you don't let them be Mechalel Shabbos, they're going to be delayed by a day. And even though it's still going to be Rosh Chodesh, but it's not the ideal way of doing it. And this applies only to Tishrei and Nissan. We're in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. It applied to every single month, and therefore they rejected this idea, even though, as I said, our minhag is that the Ader before Nissan is always 29 days, because we fill up the first Ader and not the second Ader.
So which part is
To Yufta is what they sent to Mar Ukva, that the Ader before Nissan is always 29 days. There's no such consistency, which of course explains why there's Shluchim in the month of Nissan, because you don't know when Rosh Chodesh Nissan is. Verstanden? To go on? No. Yeah, because that's Negeya for Rosh Chodesh. The Chilul Shabbos is for the Eidus, not for the Shluchim. Because the Chilul Shabbos is to know when Rosh Chodesh is. The Shluch, the Olam has to know, but the main thing is that there's Rosh Chodesh was established in Yerushalayim, and the people around there will know, and the Shluchim will be there for most of the places next to Sukkot. Just Chum Shabbos. What other Chilul Shabbos would there be? They're walking. What?
Nobody could invent something like a telegram or something.
Telegrams were invented in the 1800s. Huh? In the 1800s, but then there were no shluchim anymore. Then there was a calendar. Half of Jewish history, literally, Rosh Chodesh was established based on the mood, based on witnesses. And half of Jewish history based on the calendar. We gave a shiur about it, remember? Parshas Boy.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.